From TMP to TTNG, for sure the cure and those tired meme jeans. Helican Sella and the promise ring. Sunny day, real estate and rights this spring. Prince Twinkle Daddies help keep the dream alive. I constantly thank God for Algernon and Remo Christie Front Drive. Mineral, snowing, high tide hotelier and more. Rio Limo only consists of the DC emotive hardcore. But you gotta admit, Kyle and Ellie really on that emo bullshit. You gotta admit that Kyle and Ellie really on that emo bullshit. Have you heard the tired and disavowed lonely word? Have you heard the disavowed and lonely word? Have you heard the lonely disavowed word? Have you heard the tired and lonely disavowed word?
Episode 22, the final episode of the E-Word of 2018. This is Kyle.
Oh, I thought you were about to just drop a bomb.
No,
The final episode. We have not been picked up for a mid-season replacement.
It's all over.
Actually, the overlords have canned us, and we are being replaced by Claudio and Elliot as the host of the E-Word.
The fucked up thing is I'd listen to that podcast. Dude.
No, for sure. I could not tune into it. This is Kyle recording here in Madison, Wisconsin. Ellie over there in Austin, Texas. Ellie, what's up?
You know, hating my job, loving this podcast. Maybe one day this podcast can become our jobs, Kyle. But
And Patreon starts today. But let's get to our guest. We have a very special guest who I'm stoked about. We have Tyler from Stars Hollow. Tyler, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, I'm stoked to be here. I've listened to like a lot of episodes and been like, why can't that be me? Why am I not the one they're paying attention to? And now you fueled my ego. You told me you wanted me, and that's all I've ever needed.
Tyler, we want you.
That's gonna keep me going for at least like 2 more years. That's all I needed to hear.
Well, Stars Hollow, I'm assuming everyone tuning in has listened to it. Might even be in their top 10 of 2018.
I haven't. I've not listened to Stars Hollow.
See, I know that's a lie because I listened to an episode and you said that you had finally listened to us, and I was surprised.
Huh.
I was like, huh. I didn't expect this because you said something nice too, and I didn't expect that either. So,
what did you think
expect-
about? Okay, what did you think about Liam when Liam was like, I listened to that one episode and I have to thank you because that's how I listened to Stars Hollow.
oh, what was it? The freshman class episode? Was that what he was talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was fucking cool actually, because that was the first episode I listened to too. Because I was like, oh, maybe we're on there. And I was,
yeah. I thought we tagged you actually on Twitter.
I can't remember or not. Usually I kind of
like
enter into
embargoed
these
that.
things with.
Yeah.
I don't know. I always just kind of have this like childish like yearning that like, oh, maybe someone's talking about us somewhere. And so yeah, either way, I listened and I was like, okay, let's see like where we land on this. And I was like, holy shit, because it was like Jetty Bones and like I don't know, Hot Mulligan and shit. I think Hot Mulligan. I don't know, but I was just like, oh, this is tight. And then yeah, now I didn't even know that was the first time Liam had heard of us because I've known Liam for a few months now in real life because we played with Commander on tour when we were with Charmer. I kind of assumed that he had just heard of us through like Ryland or something. Like I didn't realize it was like a whole total stranger thing, but it was tight. I mean, and that's wild because like that means there's probably other people who had never heard of us who were like, oh, this is cool.
Yeah.
And that episode was laid out really well too.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's definitely my favorite one, I think, because it's just like, I don't know, like I felt like we turned people on to bands and it was fun to do, it was fun to talk about, and I'm like already thinking about like, oh, what's next year gonna be? But it's like, I feel like those bands are like so in our face now that it's like, what bands are gonna be in our face in like a few months from now? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to gauge that stuff.
I don't know. I think my favorite episode might be one that we haven't done yet. I think it's gonna be the one that we're doing with Bleep. You know.
I honestly have no idea
geez.
what you're talking about, but I think you're just memeing right now.
No, it's the one we're doing with.
I support the Bleep. That's a good. I don't know. That keeps the long-time listeners listening. You know, they
For
get
sure.
it. They get the joke.
I think the first
That one's
time it
for the
ever got
heads.
used, it was because I went on a very, very long tangent about McCafferty, and Kyle just bleeped it for like 45 seconds. Like he cut it later, obviously, but it was like a really long tangent, and I thought that was like the funniest fucking shit. No, my question, Tyler, is what did you think? Did you think I was gonna not like your band? That we were gonna not like your band?
I mean, I'm trying to think of how to say this. I knew Kyle did because of like an Instagram post about like favorite albums so far of the year or something. I don't know. You, Ellie, I think there's something. I just thought that you would think we were like not cool. I don't know why exactly. You just seem like a harsher critic in my eyes.
That is true. I'm mean. I'm the mean
Which
one.
is like, yeah, that's not a criticism. That's just like a trait, you know. It's not a bad thing whatsoever. But it's just one of those things where it's like, if you know that someone is very like outspoken about how they feel about certain things, it's kind of like makes you a little bit wary of what they're gonna think of like your thing, you know.
Yeah, I get
So
it.
so
No,
yeah.
I love Stars Hollow. I just wish you had more breakdowns.
you know, in a perfect world, we would have more breakdowns. I went through a phase where I like started writing songs just like on a looper pedal, where I would like play chuggy easycore breakdowns and then do like twinkly emo shit over the top of it.
Oh,
And
that's
it
so
was-
sick.
It was way better than anything Stars Hollow is ever going to put out. But that's the problem. It's too good. I can't let people hear it. So it's got to stay in the bedroom.
Aw.
Well, this episode is our end of the year episode. We did one similar to this last year. We're going to do our top 10 favorite albums of the year, and that is not just emo records, just to make that clear. And then we're going to do our best of, or the our emo style best of the year awards thing, which is a post going up tomorrow, I think Ellie said. So
Yeah, it's coming up on the 15th.
yeah. So those are like categories like emo artist of the year, best emo album, best emo artist, best emo band to break up, etc., etc., etc. But we are gonna do some normal stuff on top because some news has come out in like the past week between recording. We have a new American football record. We have William Bonney back and a lot of dispute and stuff. So we'll get to that after we do some quick follow up to episode 21, which came out 5 days ago. So I don't really know what you want to talk about, but I heard easycore was on the table.
Yeah. Actually, can we talk about easycore?
I want to talk about easycore. I always want to.
Yeah, Tyler, let's talk about easycore. You ever listen to Kid Liberty?
A little bit. I dabble. I was a big Me versus Hero fan, and so
Okay.
I like by just like association of listening to Me versus Hero, I ended up listening to Kid Liberty at a few random points, but I wasn't like a fan of Kid Liberty. But
Yeah.
Kid Liberty
Like-
was tight.
You like Hit the Lights?
Hit the Lights have such fucking good riffs. Oh my god, and their guitar tones are so like thick. It just
Yes.
sounds like you're listening to a beatdown band, except like they're just happy, and it's the best shit ever.
As Forty Strong would say, beat down in the key of happy.
In the
Yeah.
hell yeah, that's you. You speak my language. This is just good. This is fantastic.
This is great. I think Hit the Lights are like number one on my list of bands that definitely should have been way bigger than they were. I feel like
Yeah,
never got a fair shot.
Yeah,
they
they
were
were
like opened on
heavily
some big
underrated.
tours, but with the Punches too. I think with the Punches, I'd throw in that same.
yeah. What the Punches were super cool. We my old band. I used to be in this pop punk band called Survival Soundtrack, which is like the worst name ever. But we were pretty good. But we played with the Punches a couple times, and they were like the nicest people. And they were just like, at the time, they were kind of like, I don't know, they weren't as easycore as they were at one point, I guess is the way I would say that. But they were just like such nice people, and it was like in the tail end of my easycore phase, so I was like geeking so hard the whole time we played with them. But
okay, deep cut easycore time. Did you ever listen to Fight Fair?
yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right. The singer of Fight Fair, Alex Bigman, is like one of my favorite people in the world, like really good friend. And he coined the term scrams for anyone listening who's unaware.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
he made
incredible. That's so much like clout in one like ball. It's like a clout ball, just like
I know.
this easycore
Right.
clout and scrams clout, just all in one. It's crazy.
Well, I literally remember because it wasn't Scrams at first. It was Scramo, Skramo, and I saw him use it on like LiveJournal, and then later
That's a wild sentence.
yeah, and then it was like 2007 on Cross My Heart with a Knife. That forum we all were just like bantering about, and it just became Scrams. So I like to feel like I have a small part in helping create that word, but not really.
You're a little piece of history. That's magical.
Yeah.
I think Rylan on the last episode talked about Can't Bear This Party,
mhm.
and that's like one of my favorites because Song of Sirens has the most badass breakdown at the end because it's just like that music box, and then it's just like dun dun dun. I'd go
beautiful.
off for that. It really is beautiful.
Did you did you ever listen to Lakeview?
I don't think so.
Okay, they're like easycore mixed with crabcore. Mixed with
Okay,
like
that's perfect. That's like adding me versus Hero to Attack. That's like everything. I've
oh
ever wanted.
yes, that's literally exactly what I was about to say.
This is my dream come true. What the hell? What are they called? Lakeview?
Lakeview, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna
I don't
write
think-
that down because I'm gonna.
I don't
listen
think
to
they're
it.
on Spotify. I don't think their records are on Spotify. There's like another band on Spotify.
I'm actually
Should
on
I dig on
Last.fm.
YouTube? Last FM. Holy
And
shit.
they're under the easycore artist tag. I just scrolled past them.
That's
And-
tight.
They only have
and
three.
discussion-
They have less than 3.5 thousand listeners.
Yeah, I'm Lakeview elite.
That's good. It's cool.
And any discussion of easycore is incomplete without talking about, in my opinion, the always unsung gods of easycore, which is City Lights.
Let me tell you, I listened to City Lights when they put that EP out before their full length.
The one before In It to Win It.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And then they were on tour with the Dangerous Summer, and they came through Des Moines, and like I had to get there early to make sure that I caught City Lights, and I was like singing my fucking heart out to Just In Case.
Yeah.
And what's his name? Oshi, the vocalist, kept looking at me like fucking shocked that anyone knew
his name's
any
Ashi,
of their
actually.
songs. Ashi? Okay, that I always thought it was like Yoshi, like from Mario, so that's actually good to know. It's Ashi. Good to know.
Yeah. No, I only know that because we have like I actually have like a weird amount of mutual friends with City Lights.
You have so much easycore clout at this point. It's just I don't know how you handle it all.
Yeah, and I always thought it was fucking wild that Cam and Ashi from City Lights just like became Beartooth too. Like it makes very little sense, but it also makes all the sense because you know they were all like high schoolers at the same time and
Yeah, that's true.
Westerville, Westerburg or Westerville, some bullshit town in Ohio.
Somewhere where there's nothing better to do than to be in Beartooth or City Lights, you know. That
Yeah,
makes sense.
yeah. Caleb Shomo is also an incredibly nice person. I met him once or twice.
He seems like he would be. You can't be that good at synth and vocals and everything else and not be a nice person, I feel like.
Yeah, he should be like writing songs for like Demi Lovato, but instead he's like doing Every Time I Die songs with Demi Lovato choruses and Beartooth. So I think that's cool.
Yeah, that's a good middle ground, honestly.
I have a question about easycore as like an outsider to this whole thing because I was never into it. But like, were people aware of it being easycore when it was happening, or was it just like all pop punk?
Well, there was definitely like this sense that, oh, these are people who are mixing in major key breakdowns, like
Yeah.
because Newfound Glory like started using that word back in like '02. Like it's a very old term, but in 2008 it like really started blowing up because they did that easycore tour with the Wonder Years and A Day to Remember and I think 4 Year Strong.
Oh wow!
I think that was that tour.
And
Yeah.
it was it like known as the easycore tour?
Yeah, that's what they called it. They called it the
Wow.
easycore tour.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that's like hyper.
See-
yeah, that's like hyper awareness.
That's I don't know. Like I was in like a local easycore band, like probably when I was like 16. I was in an easycore band, but I don't think we ever like sat down and were like, "Oh, we're easycore." Like I don't know. Like I think we were just trying to play pop punk with breakdowns, and it was to the point where we were so like unaware that like we didn't think of how stupid it would be to like play those songs with certain artists.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, I just remembered actually, it was not 4 Year Strong on that tour. It was Set Your Goals.
Oh.
which is equally amazing, honestly.
Yeah,
Like,
I'd argue they like invented easycore. So
my last little factoid about easycore, this like lines up with my emo life too, is my old easycore band played an acoustic living room show, and it was with Mansions and Into It Over It,
Whoa.
oh fuck.
and we played easycore songs with chugging breakdowns to open up for those two bands, and at no point did we think that it was not a good idea. Like the whole time we were like, this is going to be sick. And then it was kind of sick, but I don't think Mansions or Into It Over It thought it was very sick. So that's how it goes, and now here I am today. So that's my
I mean, I think Evan Weiss might have been into it because he's friends with the Wonder Years, and the Wonder Years were like an actual easycore band in the early
That's
days.
true.
Yep. Get stoked on it.
Yeah.
the good days.
My boy Captain Crunch, I know he never do me like that.
What a band! What
Gotta
a
get
goddamn band!
punched, homie. Tyler, you might be interested in this piece I did for No Echo that's coming out in I think like next week about connection between pop punk and hardcore. I don't really go in depth on easycore specifically, but there's a lot of cool connections between those two cultures that I think a lot of people ignore because of elitism.
I think that makes sense. I mean, when we were like an easycore band and then like transforming into like a generic pop punk band, like we were like pretty aware of how often hardcore bands played with like pop punk bands. Like I feel like Man Overboard used to play with like Terror or some shit. Like it was always that kind of crazy shit.
Not Terror, Ceremony.
Ceremony.
Jeez.
That's who it is.
Yeah, they played with Ceremony and Punch.
Punch.
And they also were on Sound and Fury. Tiger's Jaw did that Sound and Fury too. Back in 2010, I remember going to that show.
That'll be an interesting article though, because I mean that was like a pretty prevalent thing for a while that people just like I think completely forgot about because everything is so like segregated, I guess, in terms of like genres.
In that time, like pop punk was part of like the DIY hardcore landscape. Like pop punk and the emo revival and hardcore were all kind of like the same scene, you know?
Yeah.
Mhm.
There's that 4-way split between Tiger's Jaw, Self Defense Family, Code Orange Kids, and The World Is. I don't think that would ever happen today.
No,
No.
I don't. It would be really hard to get it to happen because everyone would be worried about like, you know, their like, I don't know, clout. I keep using that word. I don't use that word very often.
It's
But,
because
like,
you're on the E word, and we're all about clout.
It must be. But yeah, no, it's just it's hard to imagine like if Stars Hollow were to approach like, I don't know, some like post-hardcore band or a hardcore band or something. I feel like there would be some kind of like resistance just because of the fact that we don't fall under that same umbrella, I guess. And I mean, it kind of goes both ways. Like if a hardcore band were to come up to me and be like, "Hey, we should do a split," I'd kind of be like, "Okay, but like, who, you know, who's going to benefit from this? Because you know, are people from your
I
realm
would
gonna
benefit
listen to
from
us,
that.
you know?" Well, that's as long as one person, as long as Ellie benefits from it. That's all that matters. And we'll do it. We'll find a hardcore band. We'll make it happen.
Do you like think
I'll
that
love
like
Facebook.
split was happening because like we were like figuring it out, kind of like what like the emo revival was and all that other shit, or do you think it was just like we all fuck with each other, so let's do it?
It's definitely the latter. Everyone was like in the same scene, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone was just probably like, you know, friends to an extent, and it wasn't
was
like
all just
so
AI.
rigid. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Simpler times, really.
yeah, honestly,
It feels fucking weird to be nostalgic about 2010 right now.
that's. I mean, it was a better time. I was like 15. It was great, or 16 or something. I don't know how old I was.
I was 13 and 14, like that age range.
I was 18. I'm the old head.
The
Yeah.
old head.
Yeah.
our
Shut
elder.
I'm Joe Budden.
That's the fucking way.
Kyle's like, I was out.
Let's just do what we've been listening to this week. I hardly have shit because I was figuring out this list for fucking ever.
Yeah, the list's really hard.
But between figuring out the list, I have found myself listening to the Riley Walker album that is a cover album of a lost Dave Matthews Band album, and it's fucking great. I don't give a shit about Dave Matthews Band, but Riley Walker just has the time to do an entire tribute to a lost Dave album, and
That's wild, honestly.
yeah, I love it.
That's really rad. I know nothing about Riley Walker, but I don't care. Sorry, go ahead.
He's like the greatest follow on Instagram or Twitter or anything. FYI.
Sick. Okay. I don't care like how many clout points this loses me. Like, Dave Matthews Band has one of the greatest drummers of all time. Like, I don't listen to that band's music at all, but anytime I hear them on the radio, I'm like, yo, that motherfucker can like play drums, and he's really like you can tell even if he's holding back. Like, Dave Matthews Band and 311 have really good drummers for whatever reason.
It's they're big for a reason. People just don't give enough credit to the drummers.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
And
I'm
also
going to talk about this when we get to the William Bonney thing, but I think like drumming is probably the most important part of a band's sound.
Oh, I'll agree. I agree. Like 98%, not 100%, but 98%. Yeah.
Word. Okay.
I've already been listening to the new Algernon release, that like compilation that they did that has like
some unreleased songs on it, right?
Yeah, there's 2 demos for Serial Killer Status and Katie's Conscience, which is one of my favorite Algernon songs. And then they've got that Beatles cover and Elvis Costello cover, which that Beatles cover is so fucking cool. Just hearing Peter sing Beatles songs is something I never get to hear. I thought I'd never get to hear, but apparently they recorded that. And then Snail Mail
I still have not listened to that album, which is wild because that's something everyone tells me I would love it.
Yeah.
Everyone tells me I would love it too, but that album like put me right to fucking sleep, personally. I don't know.
It's so fucking like pleasant, and then you listen to it, and then it's like, oh, it's fucking heartbreaking, and then it's like I can't stop listening to it.
That's kind of what I look for. So
it made me want to go listen to Juliana Hatfield.
Never listened to her. Never listened to her.
Yeah.
Should I?
She's
Snail
really
Mail?
good.
Okay.
Really good indie pop from the 90s, yeah. The thing about, like, because there's been, like a lot of remasters of emo albums this year. And to me, I kind of wish that they had remastered some of the Algernon stuff. But I also kind of like that they were just like, Parrotfly sounds like shit. Let's just leave it sounding like shit.
It's like I don't know, like it's like kind of how you don't always restore like artifacts or something, you just fucking gotta let it be for what it is,
Let it be authentic. Yeah.
Like I don't,
what it was.
Like we'll probably talk about this with the William Bonney thing too, but like I have like some mixed feelings about those like remasters. So it's like,
yeah, I've had arguments about the remasters already for William Bonney.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get to it, but that's all I've been listening to. Keep it short.
Hang on one sec. I gotta find. I had like a little Last FM chart. All right, so like my top albums are the Blink-182 discography.
Incredible.
Yeah, Dude Ranch, Enema, Takeoff. Yeah, whatever. Fireworks, which is a band that we never deserved.
Yeah, true.
People are still like surprised to find out that like my username on everything is a fireworks reference, because it kind of seems like all I listen to is hardcore sometimes. But no, like Detroit is maybe my favorite pop punk song of all time.
For sure. I am
Classics.
I'm there.
So Iconoclasm by The Effort is kind of like a youth crew revival album. Turned 10 years old this year, and that was the album that me and my best friend Spencer really bonded over when we first met, and I was just like listening to that and getting nostalgic. You know, it's a really good record. It's like it feels kind of like a harder Turning Point, so you should check that out if you're into Turning Point. Donnybrook lines in this game, just great ignorant hardcore. The first Kill Switch Engage record, which sounds like Shai Hulud with butt rock vocals, and it's great. It's much better than everything they did afterwards. The Warriors, the first Orchid record, Chaos Is Me. I've always preferred Dance Tonight, but I re-listened to Chaos Is Me just to do it, and it's not nearly as memorable, but it's a great cohesive listen. Like you can just listen to it straight through, and I think that's a cool part of it. Define the Great Line, which is the best Under Oath album. I don't care what it says. Yeah. That No Name record, Room 25. Obsession by 18 Visions. Got to get that obligatory.
You took an episode off from mentioning them. Did you notice that?
Yeah, I felt embarrassed. But Adam from episode 14, he was like, you know, this year for No Echo, you have to do like a love letter to 18 Visions, and I was like, all right. Obsessed with this album that's turning 15 this year, so preparing. Been listening to all the Was a Real Boy stuff from Say Anything. I feel like that's stuff that I used to never give a fair shake, and now it's like some of my favorite Say Anything stuff. You know, like Total Revenge is one of the most underrated Say Anything songs for sure. True Love, The Pact, which is an album that like just barely missed my best of this year, but it is a really good straightforward hardcore record. Are y'all down with Kaunashi?
Actually, just heard them for the first time this week.
They're really fucking weird but good, aren't
What
they?
is
Yeah.
this? What is this?
What's that song called? You'll Understand When You're Older. Is that what that song is called? That I heard that was on my like Spotify made that like playlist of stuff you haven't listened to but you'll probably like, you know, for the new year.
Huh?
And that was on there, and I listened to it, and I was like, at first I was like, oh shit, this is like kind of grindy, like this is badass, and then it just fucking switches gears like 5 times, and I was just like, okay, this is really cool. Like I'm into this. I listened to the rest of their music and like nothing else like stuck out to me as strong as that does, but everything else is pretty cool. Like it's still like really well written music, but yeah, I was like blown away.
They write really long songs, but they're so cohesive.
Yeah.
Can someone spell this for me?
Kaonashi.
So like Spirited Away.
Yeah.
Exactly.
To me, do y'all know that band Youth Forever?
Yeah.
I know the name, but I don't think I've listened to them.
Like super heavy, like sludge wave band. They sound like that mixed with like, you know, all that MySpacey shit with the sing song auto-tune vocals. I don't know. It's just like it's really cool. It's really fucking cool. I'm glad that like I feel like the scene aesthetic revival is gonna die like halfway through 2019, but while it's here, I'm down with Kaunashi. You know.
Yeah, I fuck with it. I agree.
And rounding it out, I got the Death Card by Sworn In.
Just hitting the classics.
Oh man. It's 5 years old this year. I didn't realize that.
I was just thinking how like that was like one of the things that was happening when I was like getting into power violence, and I was like, so there's like this entirely other DIY thing happening next to me, and like Sworn In was like the biggest of that, at least here in Wisconsin.
Yeah, Sworn In were fucking big for a while, and I always dug that they kind of sounded like Botch but looked like My Chemical Romance.
That's true.
I always dug that about them. Yeah, just a new metal Botch, I guess is how I would describe their sound.
Kyle, you're from Wisconsin, right?
Yeah.
Did you go to their I don't know how close you are to Milwaukee, but they played in my friend JJ's basement?
Right. Yeah.
Like
this is the
pretty
second-
recently. Did you go to that?
No, but it's
damn.
it's so funny how like he has basement shows that like sell out in advance, and that was one
Yeah,
of
yeah,
them.
no, it's wild. He seriously is like just like the most admirable person ever. Like he seriously has taken DIY and like made it corporate, but kept it DIY. Like it's wild. But yeah, like because he's had like Kubla Khan, like I think, or some other crazy. But yeah, when I saw that Sworn In was playing in his basement, I was like, that's fucking irresponsible. That's like,
yeah, he actually listens to
Crazy.
this podcast, and it's
oh no shit.
Yeah.
Hi JJ, I hope you hear this. If his space wasn't like completely like, no drinking, no drugs, it would be a nightmare, I'm sure.
Yeah,
but he runs a tight ship, so it's all good,
Yeah. So what have you been listening to?
Oh, I gotta think, because I don't want to give away my like album of the year list, and I've been listening to that a lot because
Yeah, I
was
tried
trying to
specifically
figure
to avoid all of that. Yeah.
there are a couple of like honorable mention things that I'll get to later, but like I've been listening to those a lot. One of them is there's this band called With Iowa in Between from Minneapolis, and we toured with them probably about almost 2 years ago now, and they put out an EP called So Many Ways to Not Say Anything, and it's just phenomenal. I listen to it like all the way through at least 3 times whenever I do listen to it. They're super cool because like everyone in the band sings to some capacity, and it's I don't know, it's just really cool. The dynamics of the EP are really awesome. Yeah, and they're good people, so I fuck with it. I listened to Awake But Still in Bed for the second time ever.
What?
Yeah, see, yeah, okay, I knew this would be the reaction. So the first time I listened to Awake But Still in Bed, I listened to, I think the song's just called Intro, right?
Opener.
Like the first one? Opener, that's it.
Closer.
When I listened to that for the first time, I liked it. I liked things about it, but the only thing I could think the whole time while I was listening to it was like, okay, this is like an introduction to the album by The Hotelier. And I just kind of like got that same feeling, and I kind of thought to myself, like, I've had this feeling before. Do I really want this feeling again? That was the worst year of my life. I don't think I want this feeling again. So I didn't listen to it again. So I just listened to them for the first time again, like a couple days ago, and I really liked it. Like it caught me a lot more this time. That happens to me a lot. I feel like I have to listen to a band a second time to get like into it.
Yeah.
I just skipped around on like the album, just like their more popular songs, but I like it a lot, and I actually really wish I could see that band live, because that's probably what would get me to like be a 100% like in it kind of thing. Like,
yeah, I've seen them 3 times live, and they're always stellar. And
yeah,
Shannon's such a good person. Shannon hugs me every time.
West Coast band.
Yeah.
Okay, that's probably why I haven't seen them. But yeah, that caught me a lot more the second time around, and I'm stoked that I like it now, because I kept thinking like, damn, I should probably like this record. Like, there's no reason I shouldn't like this record. But yeah, it gave me.
Did the song "Fathers" remind you of The Hotelier at all?
Yeah, like honestly, as I listened to the whole thing, I couldn't shake that Hotelier kind of feeling, even though like a lot of it isn't even that similar. But there's like just that vibe there.
Yeah, I think it's definitely like the strongest influence on that record. But like Home Like No Place Is There is, in my opinion, the greatest emo album of this decade. So
yeah, it's incredible.
I'm not going to complain about it.
Super incredible. Let's see what else. I kind of dove back into Hot Mulligan a little bit. I saw them at Bloodfest this year, and their crowd was wild. It was just like fucking insane. And so like it was one of those things where I just felt like I wanted to kind of preserve that memory of all those songs and stuff. So I was like, I'm just not really going to listen to it. But I got back into Pilot this week. Same kind of thing. I ended up liking it more this time around than I did the first time I like really dug into it. And then I listened to Baths a lot. I always listen to Baths like fucking constantly. Grimes. I've been listening to a lot of Grimes.
That's problematic.
Is it problematic?
Yeah, because of the Elon Musk connect.
See, I haven't paid any attention to that. So if I'm doing something terribly wrong, feel free to tell me.
No.
Grimes just bangs. I just can't stop it. I can't stop the rock.
I have been told that if someone likes Grimes, they should be listening to Sophie as well, though.
Sophie. Okay, I'm gonna keep that in mind, because I fuck with that. Oh, and then
I don't really listen to electronic music, so
see,
take
I
that.
listen to a lot of electronic music. Oh, and then last one is, so I posted like in the subreddit to get people to like comment their Spotify links and shit so that I could just like check stuff out. And someone put theirs on there and it was called Ghostal, I think is what the artist is called. But they just put out like a 2-song thing and it's incredible. And I listen to it like every day. It's just like instrumental, but one of the songs samples the drums from a Tiny Moving Parts song. I think maybe 4th of July. I don't know. I'm not sure, but it's like really cool. And then the other one I think samples a Mom Jeans song. But like you would never guess it like by listening to the song. I didn't know it until the person had said that that's what it was. But yeah, I listen to that like every day when I want to like relax and like unwind. So yeah, but that's about it. Otherwise, it's just
hey Tyler,
AOTY. Yeah.
What's your Reddit username?
Grilled PB&J.
Sick. Okay. Yeah, I've seen that around. Cool. So just in case you offend me later in this podcast, I know like how to ban you.
That's the key. That's I'll just make a new one. It's fine. It's no big deal.
And then I'll report you to the admins for ban evasion, motherfucker.
Oh damn! You have too much power, and I don't like it. It's I feel like I'm on trial. But I don't know how to use Reddit super well, but I added a flare recently that like makes it known that I'm in Stars Hollow, so that people don't talk shit about Stars Hollow to me because that will just like not go over well with me. So trying to make the people aware.
There was Jake from Counterintuitive when he was on this podcast. He was talking about how he like worried how people would kind of like take his like opinion too seriously because he's the guy from Counterintuitive Records and stuff, and I felt like weird about that. I don't know. Do you have any feelings about that?
I mean, I don't see. It's a little bit different, I guess, in a way, because I think Counterintuitive is like a very influential like centerpiece in the emo scene right now. And while I feel like our band is pretty like popular on the subreddit and like there's a lot of people that support us on there, it doesn't really like sink in. Like I don't really know. I've never been able to like take it to heart that people like our band, which is kind of like a good thing and a bad thing. But I could definitely see that. I just don't think I can't imagine my opinion of someone else's music like weighing more just because I'm in Stars Hollow. That's just hard for me to imagine, just because I don't think it's like that big of a deal. Like we're just a fucking emo band. Like nothing matters. I don't know. But yeah, that makes sense definitely, especially if you're like in charge of a label that a lot of bands look up to and a lot of individuals like, that's where they're finding a very important part of their lives, like that's a whole different thing. But I could see how that would be a little bit more of a problem.
By the way, when someone talks shit about your creative endeavor to your face, that's like the worst thing ever. Like I had someone like last night just like shit on my blog like to me, and it was very unpleasant.
Jesus.
Well, it's like if you don't have anything constructive to say, or if you can't say something nice while you're saying something constructive, then yeah, like you're just like a piece of shit for saying that it's not good to someone's face. Like
it wasn't constructive. It was, I can't believe you willingly shared this.
See, yeah, no, that's not cool. That's a bad person.
Let's do a few quick hits before we talk about Stars Hollow. The quick hits being we have American Football's LP3 happening. They announced the album this week. They dropped a song called Silhouettes. Then one of the songs leaked, which is a song featuring Hayley Williams from Paramore.
I listened to it. It rips.
It's on. I didn't know it leaked.
Yeah, it was on the sub for a little bit. I don't know if it got removed or something, but it's a very good song actually. And Silhouettes I think is pretty solid too. I've got my pre-order in. But did anyone see this coming? Did anyone think that we would be having a third American Football LP?
Yeah,
absolutely. I think they know it's a cash cow. Like,
yeah,
like if they put it out, people are gonna buy it. Like, I don't know. I do the same thing. Like instead of putting out Owen records that'll do like decent, like why not just put out American Football records that'll do great just because you put out Never Meant in the 90s, Like it just makes sense, I guess. I will say that I enjoy that they just called this one LP3, just like they called the last one LP2, because I don't have to remember album titles anymore. It's just tight.
And
So
the cover is not even like a house or anything. It's like,
Yeah, fucking mind blow.
Yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic. You know,
Yeah,
I-
yeah. Silhouettes was solid. I mean,
Silhouettes was okay. It was. I like that. The beginning of it kind of sounded like the background music when a character in a movie finds out that they're a wizard. But
did you just steal my tweet?
Yeah, I did.
That was smooth. As you were saying it, I was like, "Oh my god, did Ellie have the same thought that I did?" And then
No, I just directly stole your tweet and
That's
said it to
fucking
your
awesome,
face.
Ellie. That's awesome.
wow, okay. This is like when a kid in your fucking class says a joke a little bit louder than you and then gets all the credit. It's like
I wish
the same
I were
thing.
on hot news. Yeah.
Fuck.
The Haley Williams song is like much better, I think.
See, I'm really interested to hear that. I don't know if I'll listen to the leak though, because I kind of want to hear it like in context to the album, I guess. But who even knows if I'll listen to the album until like a year after it comes out? So I don't even know.
Yeah, like you said, Ellie, you're cautiously optimistic, and that's exactly how I feel. Like, but what I've heard, I'm like way more impressed than I thought I would be, because I'm one of those that thinks that LP2 is kind of a snoozer, but it's also just like, I think when you're 3 LPs deep, you're like past your big comeback, and you can just really kind of focus on like whatever the fuck you want to make, and it still sounds like American football, which is tight. So
Yeah.
I definitely feel like they're putting less pressure on themselves.
yeah.
See,
to like sound American football.
I guess the one thing I wonder is I just don't know how much of it is like just Mike Kinsella like just throwing a bunch of shit together, and then how much of it is like actual collaborative full band songwriting. That's just like where my like mind goes as far as that goes. And I just never know. Like, I thought LP2 was good, and I thought that it was good for what it was. It was just like chill, and it was like a comeback kind of thing. But I don't know. I'll end up listening to LP3 and kind of be like, I kind of wish this was an Owen record, but I don't know. I just have a weird like thing about that where I'm just like hyper attentive to whether or not this is really like American football, and if it's capturing that same kind of like dynamic that they had when they were first a band, or if it's just like them all knowing that that name is getting them, you know, where they're going, so they're just gonna like let Kinsella write everything. I don't know.
Well, someone said in the comments of one of the posts, and I agree with it, that it seems like Nate actually has pretty big influence on the songwriting.
Oh, that's
on
good.
this record. Yeah.
Yeah, because I know LP2 was a lot of like Dropbox recordings, just like
Yeah,
here's a riff, so I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, because they all have like they're all fucking adults, you know. They all have lives and like shit to worry about besides being in a band, you know.
Yeah.
Except for, you know, 1 or 2 members. So it's like,
This is semi-related, but Kyle, have you heard that Kurt Ballou is not producing the new Jerome's Dream?
No, I didn't. I
No, because they never fucking asked him, and now they can't book studio time.
What?
Yeah, but they got Jack Shirley to do it, so that's cool.
That's cool, but
Everything about this Jerome's Dream thing is so fucking whack.
I wish I never knew. So American Football LP3, it's still on polyvinyl, coming out in March. I'm excited. I'm more excited than I thought I'd be. And then we got a William Bonney repress. This is everything that they have recorded plus a new song. Is the new song Dope Castle?
yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. That song's kind of fucking heavy, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is William Bonney being repressed and handled by Skeletal Lightning, great Midwest label, and they have something called All 10 out for pre-order now, and it's on Spotify. And what's kind of a big deal is that these are remastered, and like we already kind of alluded to this, but like it's very noticeable. Like as soon as I hit play on my fucking iPhone speakers, I was like, whoa. All right, I can like hear, I can hear Jack like up front.
Yeah, that's that's exactly what I thought. Yeah, at the beginning of Leather Empire, because in like the original recordings, it's so like buried, you know,
Yeah.
which I think was like kind of aesthetically pleasing for the genre, you know, in the time. But yeah, you can just hear him like front and center, and it's like it doesn't sound bad or anything, but it was surprising for sure.
Is it just me, or can we hear that the drums are like clearly programmed?
I didn't really notice that. I kept mentally complaining that I couldn't hear the kick drum very well.
I feel like the drums are like very clearly like fake on on this release.
Are they fake? Like, do we
Or
know this?
not fake, but extremely processed. And I'm not like the first person to notice this either. Like, I was on Facebook and I saw like a whole thread of people talking about it. And
Well, it's just like, I don't know. It's interesting to think about that, because if they like went back and kind of made them like way more quantized, way more on time, way more clean sounding, you know, like, I don't know why they wouldn't.
I could hear it in the OG versions too, though.
Oh, really? See, I just didn't pay enough attention apparently, but yeah, I think the remaster sounds good overall. It's just weird because I'm so used to like a more like lo-fi kind of vibe from it.
I think it sounds amazing. I feel like, I don't know, maybe I'm just biased because in my opinion this remaster kind of brings out more hardcore influence. I feel like it's a lot more groovy.
I feel that.
You know?
I always thought
always
it was
thought-
groovy. I don't know.
I always thought that William Bonney was kind of like, how do I put it? It's kind of like Chiodos for people who don't do cocaine. So like, I just like, that's like, and I love Chiodos. I don't do cocaine, but I love Chiodos. But anyway, I don't know. Like, I've just always kind of had that vibe. So I've never thought of them as like a heavy band, but they definitely have those moments where it reminds me of like, you know, like 2004, 2005 post-hardcore, you know.
Yeah, a little bit census fail here, a little bit of these arms are snakes there. Yeah, I got you.
That's it. You get it.
I personally like this repress or this remaster a lot. I had an argument with one of my friends though. He said that he felt the lo-fi aesthetic and sound of the original version made it feel more emotionally authentic.
See, there's a level I agree with that, but there's also a level where I'm like, like I think music should sound good, you know. But
Yeah.
I also get where they're coming from. But that's coming from someone who, like, I don't know, like that's like a whole pedestal that I like. If I had a soapbox, I would stand on it and preach about how bands should save money and pay money to record. But I'm in the minority.
Like, clearly, this is how Jack wanted it to sound too. You know.
Yeah,
because
for
he had
sure.
his hands all over this whole process.
That's very true.
Mhm.
And so in the interest of respecting what Jack wanted, I think that this sounds amazing. This sounds like it could not be any closer to what he was going for.
Yeah, I
Yep.
could agree with that for sure. And Jack deserves the world. So
I'm personally
That's-
of the safe opinion, like, I'm glad we have two versions. Like, I can listen to whichever one I fucking want to now. So,
yeah, I mean, there's no harm in it whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
it's on Spotify. That's all that matters to me. Like, I can listen to it in my car easily. Like,
Yeah.
Add another like 50 megabytes I can delete from my phone.
chipping
real.
away at it with
For
every
real.
repress.
So we, along with the reveal of this, William Bonney said that they keep going back and forth about whether they want to tour. There was some like mixed vibes within the band, as in some people were like wanted nothing more. There were some hesitations of like, yo, we're like pushing 30 and we're gonna be screaming, and then there were people that just flat out didn't want to do it. So that's
I wouldn't have-
kind of on the
It
table.
would be
wouldn't-
sick if they called it the Mixed Vibes Tour, though.
I know,
Oh,
right?
that would have been funny. I don't know. I can't really imagine it happening. Like, I
Same.
booked Boy Rex at my house last year, and so I met Jack for the first time, and just like watching Boy Rex, and then like talking to him, I could not imagine this happening. I guess it just doesn't seem like it's like who he is anymore. Like, but who am I to say that? You know, I'm not him. But I don't know. It just would seem. I would be super stoked, but I would go and be kind of like, this is like interesting, not weird, but like just interesting. Because yeah, they're like pushing 30, and screaming like "fucking poor me, always suffering," you know, like just an interesting picture.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious about who in the band wants to do it. Like, do you think Jack is the one that's like, I've been waiting for this moment this entire time?
Well, I feel like this is now like the second reunion that Jack has like started to participate in.
Oh, that's fucking right. That was like this
Yeah,
time last year.
Merch Ships debacle. No, it was 2 years ago
I forgot
now.
about that.
Oh yeah,
Shit.
2 years.
It was 2 years ago now. This November 2016. I remember there being like a whole shit show when that thing got canceled. Yeah. Anyway, fuck Nick. Fuck Nick Stutzman. As
Yep.
long as we're on the
We
subject.
can say it.
Yeah. I'm saying it. You're hearing it.
We're hearing
I'm
it.
saying it. Yeah, but I would be very stoked on seeing William Bonney tour. I saw them in 2013, and they were good but a little sloppy. So I feel like another tour they would be a lot tighter live. You know.
Is something like that like DIY booked? Like, who fucking knows?
I feel like it would have to be. Like, I don't like. I feel like our community is so like tight knit to a certain degree that like it's easy to forget that like if you go out on the street and say something about William Bonney, no one's gonna like fucking know what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
And
I'm
the
sure,
remaster
like-
came out on Skeletal Lightning. It didn't come out on like Epitaph.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
it's
So-
yeah. So it's like, so I don't know. Like if you're in like Boston or like I don't know any kind of bigger coastal city, like there might be like a couple hundred people who would show up, but then like I don't know if they were to play in Des Moines, Iowa, there'd be like 40,
Right.
50 people.
This is
And,
like
like-
the fifth time Tyler, that you've just like emanated flyover state rage.
I mean, we've got here. I will say that because of Iowa's location and the fact that bigger bands skip here, we've had like incredible like DIY shows. Like Oso played in a basement, and I booked it last year. Like it was fucking crazy.
Nice.
Like I don't know. We've had a lot of cool stuff like that. Like, but yes, in other terms, like yeah, Touche Amore is not coming here every tour. Like no one's coming here every tour. It sucks. But William Bonney, I would want them to come here, but they
Mhm.
won't because 40 kids will show up. That's the way it goes.
Something that someone hit me to today is this Mom Jeans tour that just got announced today. They dropped their booking agent, and I guess and like on the flyer it says this tour was booked by Bart, which is
Yeah, I saw that.
wild because like they basically sold out the entire Puppy Love tour.
Yeah.
And now they book their next ones themselves, which raises a lot of
That's-
questions, but it's also like hella impressive.
Yeah, that's a power move for sure.
Who's
like
touring with them?
Mover
Mover
Shaker,
Shaker?
and then P Daddy's got a couple dates with them.
Gonna say, Kyle, you can bleep this out if you want, but if they fire their booking agent, then
Is that a shot? Is that a certified shot?
no, it's half self-deprecating, half memeing. You know.
Yeah.
Okay, I see.
So let's get into what's up with Stars Hollow. I mean, this has been, or can I say that this has been like a breakthrough year for your band?
Yeah, like absolutely. It kind of all feels the same to a certain degree because it's like, it's not like the level where we went from playing shows to 20 people to playing to like 500 people or anything. It's like more so when we go on tour, there are a solid handful of kids who know who we are and who know a couple of our songs, and like I'll look up and see like a few people singing along, and it's also just getting like a little bit more recognition from other bands who were kind of like at a bit higher level than we are right now, who like a year ago wouldn't have even thought about touring with us, but now they're like a bit bigger and they look at us and they're like, hey, like you're like a viable option, like people will come to see you and like we want to see you, that kind of thing. I don't know, I think about things a lot in terms of numbers, and like our Spotify monthly listeners at the beginning of the year was like 300 or something, and then after Happy Again came out like in the first month we hit like 5,000.
Whoa.
So it's like, yeah, so it's like it was
That's
a
like
big
stratospheric.
jump. Yeah, and it's like now it's kind of like evened out where like we're always hovering around 2,000 a month, which is still like solid. Like I'm not complaining whatsoever. But yeah, it's just kind of a wild thing of just like I didn't really expect this. I didn't expect it to go any like further than our first EP did or our split did. I thought it was just kind of going to be the same thing of just like, oh, we're going to put it out and then we'll just be a band until we decide we'd rather just like work and save money and do, you know, more adult things, you know. But that's kind of the thing is that like it went well, which was not totally expected. So yeah, so like we did a couple tours and like we toured with Charmer and Kayak Jones. We did another tour this year. Oh my God, I can't remember what it was. Oh, it was like our EP release tour. Holy shit, with our friends in Weathered and formerly Bodies. Yeah, it was just like this kind of thing where you notice that you're struggling less, I guess. Like when we toured on our first EP, like it was super iffy on whether we were going to get good shows, and if we did, it was super iffy on if we were going to be able to afford to go to the next place. Whereas now we can book places and the promoter is like, dude, I loved your EP, like, you know, we're going to make this a good show, we're going to get good locals, and we can know that we're going to show up and get paid at least like $50, you know, enough to get to the next town. I think it just took the stress off a little bit of some of the like worst parts of DIY. Granted, those things are still there because you're going to play towns where people have no clue who you are or they won't like your band, and that's fine. That's like what comes with the package. But this EP definitely like made things easier, and I think the thing that gets me most excited is that it kind of set us up to put out a full length that'll get like way further than it would have if we would have like thrown one out there, you know?
Right.
Because I mean, I feel like with an EP, it's easier to get people hooked on your music because it's shorter, it's easy to digest. Like Happy Against like 11 minutes long, you know? Like
yeah, I literally prefer EPs to albums.
Yeah, I tend to too. Just it really depends on the album, but it's just like I like short things that I can listen to on my ride to work, you know?
Yep.
Like,
Yep, exactly.
And I don't like writing long songs. Like I like writing short songs. I think the longest song Stars Hollow has is like 3 minutes and 40 seconds. I don't know. I just like keeping it shorter for the accessibility purpose, and also just because like there's nothing you can add to a song after 3 minutes and 30 seconds that's going to matter, in my personal opinion. So that's like that's kind of a hot take, but but that's just kind of where I stand on it. So I don't know. It's just been like a really cool year, and we're kind of at a point where we could do something with this. Like I don't ever enter into anything with the expectation that we're gonna get like Mom Jeans level big or anything, but I feel like we're at a point where like we could potentially open for like a decent sized tour, you know, which is kind of like just what I wanted to do. Like I don't really care about like being a huge band or anything, but I just want to be able to play like either super small venues or basements and have like 50 kids there that all know the words to a song, you know. That's just kind of like what I always want. Like I'll watch like videos of Algernon playing like Spit Fountain in Philly or some shit, and like there's like 70 kids just screaming their fucking faces off, and that's more of what I want. And I think that what we did this year set us up for that, and that's all that really matters to me. So
I keep getting distracted by how good Tyler's aesthetic is in their profile picture. Just like great sweater, great glasses.
I appreciate this. That's I try. That's my selfie game is important to me. I'm glad if anything's distracting you, it's that, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah.
You like gave like such a great comprehensive response that I don't even know if I
know. It's so articulate.
Yeah.
I mean,
my question is who in the band is the biggest Gilmore Girls fan?
Me by far.
Yeah.
Like by far.
That was literally the first thing that like drew me to your band was the name, for sure.
That's good because that's kind of like half of, I don't know. It's a curse and a blessing because like 35-year-old moms will approach people and be like, "Oh my God, is that a Gilmore Girls shirt?" And people have to be like, "No, like this is a band." And then like there's also the chance that Warner Brothers could like sue us probably. I don't know.
No,
but
whatever.
But otherwise,
that would make them look so bad.
That's true. It felt fitting. Like me and Jesse. So Jesse's our bassist. Him and I were the first two that started the band, and we were like just trying to figure out a name for fucking ever. And then I was watching like binging Gilmore Girls really hard in college, and I was just like, Stars Hollow, that's sick. That's like super sick. And so I texted him, and he was like, "Yep, let's do it," because he watched it when he was like in high school because his mom watched it or something, you know. So yeah, we stuck with it. We were like, hell yeah, because then we just decided on the name before we even had a drummer, I think. So it just fit.
Sick. Have you been watching Amy Sherman Palladino's new show, Marvelous Miss Maisel?
No, I've heard about this, but I have not watched it at all. Is it good?
It's very good. I'm watching it with my girlfriend right now. It's about this little Jewish girl in like 1962. It seems to be, from what I can gather from the fact that Lenny Bruce is still playing small clubs, who gets divorced from her husband and becomes a stand-up comedian. And I used to do stand-up. I'm a huge comedy nerd, so it's super appealing to me. It's a really good show.
That's good. I'm gonna have to actually remember that.
Yeah.
Because I'm a big Amy Sherman Palladino fan, obviously, but
I missed out on Bunheads though. I still never watched that.
oh, I don't. You know, it's like I'm bad at keeping up with things, so like, just don't ever feel bad because I haven't watched it either, or
Sick.
anything. But yeah, I mean, good name. It's worked out for us. When we played in Connecticut, a bunch of people, like, because Stars Hollow is like fictionally in Connecticut.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
A bunch of people like made jokes about it, and I was like kind of dreading playing in Connecticut for that reason. No one. There was like the people that did come up were people who did not like our band. Like they didn't hear our band yet, and they just looked like they wouldn't like our band, and I could tell by the way that they left the room when we started playing that they didn't like our band. So, so it was.
I can tell by the
fun.
fact that they hated the experience of being in the same room as our music that they didn't like the band.
Yeah, it happened. I think it was like the opening band's, like all the people in the opening band and their girlfriends kind of situation,
Oh,
which is like,
wow.
yeah, I was like, whatever. They were like really nice and they drew people. They got us money, so I don't really care. Like, I can't expect everyone to like our band, but it was just funny because they were all like had said something about the Stars Hollow, like Gilmore Girls thing, and then yeah, just like I don't know, a couple seconds into our set, they just boom out the door. And it's like, I don't know, we don't even start our set that like aggressively. We start with like the first song from Happy Again, and it's like, it's not like it's too heavy or something, but yeah, they just decided to check out.
I still think about when I saw you and how great of an experience of seeing like your set was like 15 minutes long or something, and you just went super hard, and then it was done, and I just wanted more, and I was like, this is what I want more of. It's just quick fucking sets. That just
15 minutes is the perfect set time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think our set usually runs like 18. Like it's literally like 14 minutes of songs and then 4 minutes, maybe like less than that, of like just like looping so that I can fucking breathe for 30 seconds. But yeah, that's kind of like what we want to go for, because like I hate watching bands for more than 20 minutes. Like it sounds awful and it sounds like I'm invalidating like people's art, but that's not really what it is. It's just that I'm fucking human and I don't want to stand and listen to something that I don't know for that long, you know?
Yeah.
Like if I'm seeing like I saw Norma Jean at Bloodfest and they played like a ton of stuff off of Redeemer, I could have stood there for like 2 hours and been fine. But if I'm listening to like a band I've never heard and they try to play 40 minutes, I'm just like, come on, like, just like give me your best stuff. Don't give me your like 7-minute like atmospheric trippy like post rock shit. Like I don't need that. Just give me your best stuff.
Even if it's a band I like, I still am like cool with short sets. A band that shall go unnamed, I saw
just let me bleep it out.
playing in Vegas. Oh, okay. Because I don't want to support them anymore. I saw them play in Las Vegas. They played in 9 minutes, broke a guitar string, and we're like, "Oh, cool, we're done."
That's one way to go about it. I mean, that's that's the thing. I think short sets are just kind of like underrated. I feel like there's a certain problem with like once you get to the level of being like on a real official tour package, like where you have to meet a time minimum.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's something I'm like terrified of. Honestly, I have like a lot of internalized stress about that, because like we could probably play 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and like we'd be dead, but we could do it. But if we had to play like 30 to 35, like that's like not really possible at the like way that we do things right now. Like I try to like, I don't know how to stand still when we play, and I just like have to stay busy like the whole time that we're playing. So I just don't know how I would be able to like do that. So I just like have a lot of respect for bands, I guess, that can play that long, but also no one needs to play that long. Like let the gig get over at 8 o'clock. Who cares? Everyone can go home. Try like honestly, like I'm writing our full length right now, and I have like a decent amount of songs done for it. Like I think I have like 12 that are pretty much good to go that I'm going to start working on with the guys. But I think that'll top out at like 25 minutes at the most, you know? Like,
sick. That's
That makes me so happy.
yeah, 25-minute LP shoe-in for 2019 album of the year.
well, that's the thing, is like I'll listen to an album, and unless it's like fucking phenomenal, you'll lose me at like minute like 25. Like I'll be like, okay, let me skip these songs. Like, because even if it's a short record and there are songs that feel like filler, I will still listen to them. Because it's like, because it keeps the flow of the album going, and like I don't have that much longer to go anyways, you know. So yeah, I don't know, because like sometimes I feel bad about not writing longer songs, because some people have the opposite reaction of like, you know, some people are like, oh, it left me wanting more, I loved it, but other people are like, oh, it left me wanting more, like you should try to do more, you know. But I don't know, just trying to like keep it real, do what we do, not really worry too much about like what other bands do.
So 2019, do you think like the LP will come out then, or is that like too far away?
In
I like
perfect
world,
how
it took us this long to ask about the LP.
In a perfect world, it would come out next year. We're gonna start, so we kind of took like a 3-month break about we recorded a new song that's going to go on a split with I'll just say it because you can bleep it out.
Okay.
It's supposed to go on a split with
Cool.
but we are running into an issue of like, I don't know, things just aren't working out on the other end, which isn't really like a big deal because it's not their fault. But so we're kind of sitting on a song that we just recorded right now, and then we were offered to be on another split, and you can also bleep this out, but we were asked to be on that and split, but
yeah,
I
was told about that.
Yeah, we were. The problem is that they each had 2 songs, and we only have 1 song, and so I would have had to have like written something like fast and gotten it ready, and like, and the guy that we record with lives in Minneapolis, and like it's not cheap to record with him, so it just wasn't like in the realm of possibility, you know.
Just throw in one of your bedroom easycore songs.
I should have. Honestly, if there's any split that it should be part of, it would have been that one.
Yeah, and then like have Sneaky Dice be the 4th band.
That would have been perfect. Just ideal.
I love how on board people are now with the bleeping.
It's just part of the experience, honestly. But yeah, so like we're sitting on that song. We're gonna start. So we took that like 3-month break. We didn't really like make a big deal out of it because I think we just needed like to step back from touring and stuff and like live life for once. Like I just wanted to like focus on my job and like my family and all that kind of stuff. So so we've just been chilling, but starting like every Sunday we're going to get together every Sunday and work on new songs and practice and stuff, which is wild for us because we never practice or do anything like that. Hopefully in a perfect world we would have the entire LP like demoed out by like February or March. The issue then being we got to figure out like funding. Realistically, we can't afford to do it the way that we've done it in the past, because it'll be like thousands of dollars to go to the guy that we usually go to, which is like reasonable, but we just can't afford that. So we might have to kind of like, I don't know how to put it, just like hodgepodge something together where we do like drums at a studio here in Des Moines and then record guitars here at me and the drummer's house, and then do vocals up with the guy that we usually record with. And like, so that's the bigger issue, is just like figuring out how we're going to do it, because we don't like, I don't know, we haven't really been approached by like labels or anything. Like we never really shopped Happy Again Around or anything. So it's just at a point where we're like trying to figure out how we can do that by ourselves, and we could take out a loan or something, but I just don't think that's like fair to everyone in the band to like be like, hey, here's this big risk that like we don't even know if we're going to follow through on for more than like 2 years or something. You know, I just always have this like thought in my mind of like, okay, but what if this isn't what you do forever, which is kind of like shitty, because usually people in DIY are like, this is my life and I'm going to do this forever, but that's just like not how I am.
That's never true. And like the people who are like, DIY is my whole life, they're the ones who are out in like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, I went to college, I got my degree. Like, that was like my one thing was I wanted to get that done before like going off and like trying to focus on Stars Hollow for a few years. And I plan on going to grad school. So like, I don't know. I think the biggest killer of every emo band is either college or grad school. Like, it's just like kills every single good emo band is someone goes to like a higher education. Mm-hmm. But that's just kind of where we're at right now, is like I have a bunch of songs that I'm ready to work on with the other band members, and I feel like we're gonna knock through them pretty quick and get something that we're happy with. We're just gonna be a little like in limbo on the financial aspect. So, you know.
Someone Goes to Higher Education is my favorite Descendants album.
I've never listened to the Descendants. Is that like
Milo
cool?
Goes to College?
Milo Goes to College.
That's that like weird little drawing thing, right? That's the Descendants.
Yeah.
That, like,
Yeah.
the glass.
Yeah.
Okay. That's like the least punk sentence I've ever said, probably. But
Can I just say thanks for being candid about like the whole financial thing, because that's like something that like people probably always run into but never fucking talk about, and that's like,
yeah, I think people like to some degree think it's like a shameful thing, but it's like there's no fucking way to make money with what we're doing, like at the level we're doing it at, you know? Like there are some people like that have just these like really admirable like big dreams of just like, I'm gonna do DIY and I'm gonna be self-sustaining through it and it's gonna be great and blah blah blah, and it's like that's just not realistic. Those people like I don't know, that more applies to people who don't have jobs and try to live through DIY, I guess, is more
I remember
accurate.
when I was like 11 or 12, I would like reading all these books and watching all these documentaries about like punk and hardcore and DIY, and you know, there's always like when you're 11 or 12, you don't really know how the world works. So your assumption is like these people who are doing all this stuff are probably like functional adults who make a living, right?
Yeah.
You know, and then when you grow up and that assumption must be like left behind, you know, I feel like that is what leads to people in DIY who don't understand DIY.
No, yeah,
These
exactly.
people who were never able to leave that assumption behind.
Exactly. And it's, you kind of just have to if you want it to work out. I don't know, like to put it in perspective, like I was looking at I don't know, I'm going to be very transparent about financial things for a little bit. So since Happy Again has come out, we haven't really withdrawn money from our distro thing, so we do it through DistroKid, and so we get like all the royalties or whatever from everything. And we have like 150,000 streams total on like all of our music, and that amounts to like $500. So
Sick.
that pays for 1 day in the studio.
oh
So-
Christ.
Yeah, that pays for like 1 day in the studio and mixing and mastering one song.
But that's like a
So-
good studio.
Yeah, so like the place we record at is called the Warming House with Greg Lindholm, and he records Jetty Bones and Tiny Moving Parts and like all those people. So he's very fairly priced, honestly. Like
What
he's
I'm
cheaper
saying
than
is-
everyone.
Learn the LP, go and blow through it in a day, is what I'm saying.
Fucking, that would be fucking wild, honestly. I
Mix
wish
and
I could do that.
Yeah.
That'd be the dream. But no, that's like that's the thing. Like at a different perspective, like $500 for just like throwing your music up on a service, like a streaming service, sounds cool. And we make a lot of money through merch, you know, like that's like the main place where we make money, and that's why we like try to have really cool designs and print on like nice shirts so that people will buy it and they'll wear it and it'll last them a while. You can only make so much. Like our band is self-sustaining to the point where like we don't have to pay out of pocket for merch, and we haven't had to pay out of pocket for recordings since our first EP. In that sense, we're like pretty solid, but it's just like, yeah, once you get to the point where you're trying to like make an album and have something that's cohesive and a bunch of songs, and you want it to be like as perfect as it can be, like you need like 2 weeks in the studio, like ideally, 10 to 14 days in a perfect world. And that's just too much money. That's like the cost of like a used car,
When
just kind of hard.
When Seosin did their debut album, they literally spent like 3 months in the studio just on vocals.
that gives me extreme anxiety. Like,
that's that major label money.
Yeah, that's the thing. I just need some big daddy fucking record label to just swoop us up and be like, hey, just do what you're doing, but we'll pay for it, and I'd be great. But that's just not how the world works. Like, even if like a lower level record label were to like do something, it honestly might not even be like enough. Because I mean, most record labels we deal with are like DIY labels that just like will do tapes for you. No one's fronting you like $7,000 to record a record. Yeah. Even though 7,000 is like cheap in like the realm of recording. But I don't know. This is like my soapbox thing I was talking about earlier, is where like I really strongly believe in like good recordings and caring about your art enough that you want it to be represented super well. But that's also the thing with DIY, is that like a lot of people don't care about that, which is nice because not everyone can afford that, and it's not fair to assume that everyone can afford that. And it's like kind of being, I don't know, kind of like pushing people away to have that attitude. But just for my band personally, I want to be able to listen to something that we do and know that it sounds as good as it can, so that I'll hate it way less. Like, because I'll hate it no matter what, but I just want to hate it way less. So
on the one hand, I really admire that, and then on the other hand, one of my favorite screamo albums last year was literally recorded on a webcam and a dictaphone.
That's the fucking thing. See, I say all this, but then like I think my album of the year. Oh no, not my album of the year. I think a good chunk of my like album of the year list was probably not done in the most like, pristine environment or anything. Like, and I listened to a lot of bedroom pop shit that sounds shitty because it was literally recorded in a bedroom. So when it comes down to it, I think it's more of me being self-critical than it is of me being critical of the recording quality. It's more of me knowing that I probably am going to have a lot of bad things to say about it anyway, so I don't want to give myself another bad thing to say about it by saying that you can't hear the kick drum, or that my vocals sound weird, or that the guitars are too quiet, that kind of thing. So
yeah.
So I don't know. Money is just a fucking nightmare. So I think that's just kind of where we're at, is like we have the songs and we're starting to work on them, and I think it's going to be super, super cool. It's just a matter of figuring out how we're going to make it happen.
All right, sick. Thank you everyone for tuning into episode 22 of the E Word.
Yeah, I ramble. Like, you can always cut me off, honestly.
I mean, but
it's all relevant. It's all good.
Yeah, to me that was awesome to hear like someone candidly talk about that, because it's like there is that whole spectrum that nobody really talks about, like, stuff on this label that people love, like honestly like was probably recorded in a bedroom, but then like on the whole other spectrum, like you can have a Jack Shirley produced album, and like it's like, how the fuck did you pay for that,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's wild. Like, we're kind of in this like in between realm where like there are some bands that are paying like $15,000 to go to some studio, and like just to have someone with a name that's popular tell them what to do. But then also like we have friends who are recording in their bedrooms, and putting out music that's better than what people with $15,000 are doing. So I don't know. It's just we're in this
so many Jerome's dream shots right now. I just want to say to our Patreon subscribers, this is content you're not going to get on any other podcast.
That's true. That's very true.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
We may want to get into what this episode is about.
Yeah.
Yeah, feel free to edit out whatever you have to. I just have a lot of things that I don't say out loud very often, so I decided to dump it on you. So
I'm gonna say ahead of time, this might be our actual longest episode.
Maybe.
I still have a ton of shit to do.
Tyler, do you want to play a Stars Hollow song, or would you rather be like, yo, I love this band, more people need to hear them?
Actually, yeah, I love this band. More people need to hear them. Okay, so the band I want you to play is called Lakenheath. They're super good. They're good friends. The guy, the vocalist and main songwriter dude, his name's Gavin. He actually put out Happy Again on vinyl. He was one of the 3 labels that helped out with that. And he was the one who spearheaded it. So he was like the one that approached us and was like, hey, I love your record so much. Like, I believe in what you guys are doing. So blah, blah, blah. But yeah, he's in Lakenheath, and the EP is called A Year Back Home. And honestly, all the songs on there are super good. I just am really bad at song titles. I think it's the like second or third song that I really, really like. So like, yeah, when you go to punch that in, feel free to go with whatever song you like.
Okay. And you're going to hear it right now.
She loves birds, and she gets excited every time she sees a bird. She's like, look at this, it's a bird. And I'm always like, yeah, they're all over the place, they're birds. But she likes that bird, you know? Every bird she sees it. Her dad just called and said that they can't transfer her because the infection has reached her heart, which means she could die.
And I wonder if when I wake up, will you be there? With your morning breath and tangles in your hair. Will our clothes still be sprawled across the floor? From late last night when we fumbled through the door.
Okay, we're at the point we're gonna do our top 10 albums of the year. This is gonna be round. This is gonna be round robin style. I kind of made it a little however you want to make it. So, like for me, I have honorable mentions and I have EPs outside of my top 10. I'm gonna say
I also have all those. Yeah.
I'm gonna fire those all out on the end of it. So I guess here we are with number 10. Your 10th favorite album of the year. I'm gonna kick it off. My number 10, California Cousins, Distant Relatives. I think this might be on at least Ellie's. But this is.
It was super close on mine.
Super close
Mine
for you.
It's so much higher on mine.
Yeah, this is a fucking great Chatterbot release. They just go fucking hard, and like the screaming, the guitar playing, everything about it is just like it's so fucking tight. And seeing them live in Chicago was a fucking great show, and I'm always amazed, and this goes for like Stars Hollow too, of like trios that can just go that hard and like capture that live. That's just like such an achievement. And Distant Cousin or Distant Relatives, check it out. You're welcome.
Is that are we gonna have an order for this? Is there?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think if we do have repeat albums, though, we should like keep what we have to say on the album like to ourselves until it shows up.
For sure.
I agree with that.
I agree.
Yeah.
Agree.
Okay.
Let's go with Tyler.
Tyler.
Okay. So I actually have like kind of a tie for number 10, but I'm just going to talk about one of them because the other one explains itself. So the tie is between Sweetener by Ariana Grande and Error Zone by Vane. Pretty starkly contrasted, but so everyone knows Ariana's great, so I don't need to talk about that. But that Vane record, it's like Slipknot, but like made for the modern era and a little better. Like if Slipknot sounded like what Vane sounds like right now, I'd be like way more into it. But yeah, I just like kind of put this record on one day just because I was like bored, and I was like, I haven't listened to any good heavy bands for a while. And I was just like immediately like so excited because some of the guitar work reminded me of like Linkin Park in a weird way, and sometimes it reminded me of just like every new metal band that I really liked. And they have like a programmed drum part that sounds like it would be in like a Toonami commercial, like
Toonami,
like break. I don't know, but I just thought it was a really good record, and it was really unique, and it stuck out to me. And I feel like it's one of those things where it kind of is in a position to like influence an entire era of heavy music, and I think that's like really important, especially at a time where I feel like a lot of stuff is just kind of bland. So that's what I have to say about that.
There's so many things I want to scream, but I'll just wait. All right, number 10, Hundreds of AU, Communications Link Reestablished. This is a East Coast screamo band. It's Tom from many screamo bands, but most notably You and I, just coming out with one of the such well constructed songs on this release, and they all flow together so perfectly. And I think something that Hundreds of AU has mastered is incorporating melody into their heaviest moments. So when it's just coming at you like so oppressively, and just kind of like overwhelming you, there's still like an element of melody and hook that you can grab onto, which is something that I've always been impressed by in heavy music. So yeah, if you like 90s screamo, you'll probably enjoy Hundreds of AU because it's pulling from that for sure.
My number 9 is a band that has had 2 number 1 spots in the past couple of years for me, and that is Cloud Nothings. Their new record, Last Building Burning, came out this fall. I know like Cloud Nothings to this podcast probably is like a normie band, but like I've been just like a fanatic for a very long time, and this record, I mean, it's definitely not as good as the last 2, but like what's interesting is like they've become just like a rhythmic machine. Like I feel like they're getting less catchy, and like they're just getting more just like intense with just like their rhythmic decisions, and it makes for a really like cathartic listen and stuff. And I don't know, like it's not like a favorite of mine. I mean, I still love their pop songs. Like they like even before like the albums that they broke on, they were like just straight up pop, and them making like borderline grunge and punk and stuff. They're playing at breakneck speeds, and it's just like super cool and kind of vulnerable in its own way. But I don't know. I will always love this band, and no matter what they put out. So, Last Building Burning, it didn't like catch on as much as their past releases, but it's still good.
Both of y'all talk about music in such a nice and satisfying way. I'm admiring that before I move on.
Thank you.
I just use such like dude bro 2010 terminology for everything. So it's like, okay, so my number 9 is Pianos Become the Teeth, Wait for Love. I absolutely love Pianos Become the Teeth. Keep You made me like want to die the year that it came out, but like in a good way. It's just that record was amazing, but this record was just so much more like it had like an underlying passion to it, and it was just very, very energetic, but while not being like overly so. Especially Charisma, the first single they put out from it, was just like incredible, and how it just starts with like a single note bass drum, and then it gets so dancey just out of nowhere. Yeah, it's a fantastic record. Makes me want to fall in love, which is a very rare thing for me when I'm listening to music. So that's my number 9.
I started off the year being like, hey, I actually like this record, and people were being like, no, it's not great. And then I ended the year revisiting it, and I was like, I should have spent more time with it.
It's very good. It was. I feel like it was easy to forget. Like that was my only complaint. But
it was also like
I
a
didn't
February
forget it.
release, which never helps bands.
Yeah, just so early in the year that it's gets overshadowed.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, my number 9 is Room 25 by No Name. Just a really, really, really fucking good jazz rap record. And I feel like No Name, she's one of those MCs that has a real understated quality to her voice and her lyricism. And most of the time when I listen to rap, I like rappers that have like a really outsized personality. You know, I really like a lot of like 90s East Coast rap for that reason. Because it just goes so hard in the same way that like I feel like hardcore of that era goes hard. It just makes you want to go off on shit. But No Name is more like the understated element of East Coast rap of that era, such as like A Tribe Called Quest. You know, she's got some really great one-liners, and the whole record just has like this very dreamy, atmospheric quality to it that I just think makes it a really pleasant listen. And it's also only 34 minutes long, 35 minutes long, which is awesome. Because my biggest problem when I listen to rap is that the albums are too fucking long. But you'll notice with the hip hop albums that are on my list, they're all very short. So yeah, really, really great breezy listen. I highly recommend it.
Do you like it more than Telephone?
Yeah, I do.
You do? Okay.
I do.
My number 8 is Stippling, Perfect Life. This is a band that I've been shouting from the rooftops for like this entire year. Their first album came out 2 years ago. This is like a Philly band. I don't know what kind of like following they have. I don't even know how like active they are. But whenever they're like in the sub, I pop in there. I'm like, yo, fucking listen to this band. Like this. And there's like a small following of us, but this is their second record. It's their second full length. It's all tracks that are like they like top at 2 minutes. There's not much more than that. The bass playing on this is like it's like the best bass in like emo right now for sure. Like the bass like leads it all. Just really fast, cathartic, like kind of Glockamora type stuff, but I just adore this band. And I think Sam from Beep was drumming for them at one point, and I don't know if he is at this point, but
my number 8, this is probably the least cool thing on my list. Artificial Selection, Dance Gavin Dance.
You know what? Fuck the haters. Dance Gavin Dance is a great band.
I fucking love that band so much. Honest, John Mess is like my favorite like I don't know, one of my favorite lyricists, and it's just because it's all nonsense and focused on patterns. Like all of his lyrics are just pattern based, and I like love that because it just makes everything so much cooler. Like a friend of mine said one time that it's like he's almost like another percussionist as opposed to a vocalist because it's just all about patterns and rhythm. But Artificial Selection is like not my favorite record of theirs by any means. I liked Mothership more. I'm a big like Kurt Travis fan, like as far as like eras go. But I thought this record was really cool. It starts off with just this really calm and pretty guitar line, and then it just like kicks right in, and I feel like the energy on the album stays up like pretty high for a good chunk of it, which is just what I look for a lot in music. And the singles that they put out were just like a perfect balance of being like the right level of poppy to like attract new people while also maintaining just who they are as a band. And I thought it was really cool that Will Swan, the guitarist, he was like listed himself as a producer on the album, because that's just like really unique. It's almost like treating it more like a hip hop record than like a whatever post-hardcore mallcore record.
There's two things that I really appreciate about Dance Gavin Dance. One is that they are one of those bands that have somehow blown up and maintained a strong and high level of popularity while simultaneously being a really fucking weird band. Like
Yeah,
they're
exactly.
they're very progressive. I wouldn't necessarily say experimental, but they are a very interesting band to listen to. They do a lot of like weird, fascinating shit with their guitars, with their guitar work and with the vocal work, and everything about them just should not work, but it does. And secondly, I've always really loved that John Mess and Will Swan are both very open about the fact that they're heavily influenced by like straight like screamo. Like they're very influenced by the Blood Brothers. They're very influenced by Orchid, and they like talk about that on Twitter like reasonably often. I know like Alex from Fight Fair is really good friends with the Dance Gavin Dance kids, so we were in like a Facebook group together for a little bit, and that was fun. A Facebook group that it was dedicated to Scream too. So
Oh, that's wild.
yeah, it was a really cool experience. But yeah, Dance Gavin Dance, great band. Glad that you have them on your list because
Hell
they're
yeah.
not on mine because I didn't listen to this album. But
I recommend it, obviously.
all right. Oh, is it my turn? Shit.
Yeah.
All right, my number 8, Cheer by Drug Church. I have always vastly preferred Drug Church to Self Defense Family. I don't know why, but I feel like it's because Drug Church have like a lot like this very intimate and personal feeling to them that Self Defense Family doesn't quite. End of the Year had it, but not Self Defense. I don't know. I'm a Pat Kindlin scholar, but something that I really appreciated about this record was that they spent time on it. Like they spent a lot of time putting these songs together and producing it, and it definitely shows, especially with the closer, which is massive. Just like a really beautiful way to end the album. Maybe not as good as the closer from Hit Your Head, which is fucking one of the all-time greatest closers. And also Weed Pen, which just barely missed my best non-emo song of the year this year. But Kyle hit the nail on the head when we were talking about Drug Church a couple episodes ago. Said very Pixies influenced.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel that.
And that riff on Weed Pen is a perfect example. It's just gnarly, simplistic, catchy as fuck, but it goes hard.
Yeah.
So Drug Church here, great record. Check
More on this later.
it out.
Number 7 then? Or 7.
Yeah.
I didn't catch this, but my number 7 is 777 by Key and Kenny Beats. Just a perfect hip hop release, in my opinion. This is, I mean, I had no idea who the fuck Key was until someone's like, this is a really good album, and I had no idea who Kenny Beats was, which was a bit of a crime for someone who passively listens to hip hop. But Kenny Beats had a huge year with this, and like the Vince Staples, and he did a JPEG Mafia song. But 777 by Key, it as soon as I heard it, I was like, I couldn't stop playing it. and I never thought like this could be in my top 10, but I was just like no, like this feels right. This like deserves to be in your top 10, and I don't know what makes it stand out from like any other trap. Like it's not like a massively popular thing. Like he's still like very smally billed on like the tours that he's done and stuff. And when I saw him in Madison, like it was poorly attended as fuck. But like,
Oh damn.
yeah, the entire album is just great, and Kenny Beats is a huge part of that. His production has really improved throughout the year, but he's just putting like a huge mark on a lot of stuff. Yeah, I don't know how to articulately talk about hip hop, but it's constantly been in rotation, and I think like a few weeks ago he actually put out like a deluxe version of this album that has like more verses from like big rappers and stuff on it. Like Skepta's on it now and stuff. So
Oh damn. Okay.
yeah, so if you haven't heard it, 777 by Key.
I'm gonna have to check out like any like hip hop releases you guys like throw out, because I'm just so bad at finding like anything. I feel like
Honestly, like the only way that I get into it is like from someone showing it to me. Otherwise it's just like I don't know where to start.
yeah, no, that's exactly how I feel too. Shit, 7, right? Yeah. Graduating Life, Grad Life. I loved this record, and I've seen Grad Life a couple times. I think we've played with them a couple times, and I always thought that they were cool, but I was never like really stoked on anything. I was never like listening and being like, okay, like this is a cool band, I need to go home and listen to this. But when this record came out, I just listened to it front to back. Like the only way I can really describe how it made me feel was like kind of the same way I felt when I heard 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge for the first time when I was like 13. And I don't know why it made me feel that way, but it just felt very like grand and like a little over the top, but also like relatable. So yeah, I liked it a lot. There's just like a good balance of like banger songs, and like the use of synth on it is like so tasteful and cool.
Yeah.
And that's something that I think is hard to do. I think a lot of bands that try to use synth do it in a way that's like, I don't know, just like not cool. Like it'll just sound like it'll just sound like dumb, and I'll think like, okay, why didn't you just have like another guitar do that? But
Because
every time I heard
fucking
a synth,
nerds.
that's it. That's the truth. But every time I heard a synth on this record, I was like, fuck, like there's no other instrument that should have been doing that. Like that was so cool. And yeah, just like really good energy, really good songs. Like lyrically, I think it was just pretty transparent and real, and that's something that I think gets lost a lot, because there's no like, I don't know, there's no like stoner boy big major stuff in it, which I always like because I get annoyed by that. But yeah, good record. Grad Life is a good band, and I think they deserve as much recognition as Mom Jeans, and I'll just say that. So yeah, that's that.
Number 7, Denzel Curry, Taboo. I was so stoked for this record from like the minute it was announced. I love Denzel Curry, and I feel like his style of delivery is so unique. And like I said during when I was talking about No Name, I really like outsized personalities when I listen to hip hop, and Denzel Curry has that in fucking spades. Like everything about who he is just bleeds through in his delivery. And Taboo is just not an album that I think has any filler. It's just banger after banger after banger, and he's so good at punchlines, and he is so good at managing the mood of this record. I think it just felt like a very brisk and cohesive listen to me. And going back and listening to like Raider Clan and then coming to this, it's just really cool to see how far he's come in that regard as well. So yeah, really impressed by Taboo. Great album.
Oh yeah.
Have not listened to him.
Damn,
I fucked up. I know.
you fucked up hard.
I don't think I've listened to a single record off of Ellie's so far, so except for the California Cousins one. Wait, no, that was on Files.
Yeah,
Never
that's
mind.
me.
Yep. Yeah.
It's on mine. Just wait.
We're on number 6. Mine is
Yeah.
Fiddlehead, Springtime and Blind. This is a fucking heartbreaking record to listen to. And it's strange how addicting a record this like heartbreaking is, because like as soon as it's come out, it's never like not been in rotation at least one time in like a month for me. It's just like a super smart record, and I don't know, I feel like everyone has talked about it, and it's just, it can't get enough praise, really. The instrumentation or the production on it is like, to me, is something that really works well for it, because I don't know how to talk production, but I feel like a lot of focus is on like the mids, because like it reminds me of something like Ronert Park, where like the guitars are just there's not like a huge range on it. It's just like this. I'm probably talking out of my ass at this point, but just like, yeah, I don't know. I didn't think Fiddlehead would have like such a powerful album in them for some reason. I mean, first of all, it's like a side project for like Basement and all the Pat Flynn stuff, but this is a band that I need to see live.
This is like the most beautiful Pat Flynn project, I think.
It is
like,
beautiful. I mean, it's about.
I think this is a beautiful record. I don't know if I would say that it is heartbreaking, but it's very bittersweet. Pat Flynn is one of those vocalists who you can really feel all of his feelings that he had when he was writing the lyrics, and that's been true in Have Heart, that's been true in Free, but the way that he chose to sing on this album, it just like, it connects very hard. And I like that Basement, the members of Basement kind of seem to step out of their comfort zone instrumentally. They go a little bit more traditionally post-hardcore and a little bit harder than they have in the past on this album.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about it because it didn't make my list, so I'm throwing my take
I'll
on
say
it here.
that,
but
like,
it's an excellent record.
Like, the reason why I personally say it's heartbreaking is because like it makes me like terrified to lose my father.
Yeah,
that's what the album's about. It's about losing your dad, and like I don't ever want to, like, I don't know, it just put me in that really fucked up mindset. It's like, wow, I never want to lose my father, because, but like you said, it's also beautiful. Like the way that he talks about it is beautiful.
This is actually true. Cause my dad's had like heart issues in the past, like heart episodes or whatever. But about like 2 months ago, I had this really awful nightmare where, he died in his sleep, and I didn't know about it until like the next day, because I don't live with my family. I live like 1,000 miles away from them, and I like woke up and like called my dad and checked on him and stuff, but I spent that whole day actually listening to Fiddlehead, and
I mean, it's terrifying, honestly.
It's a real heavy experience for me. So thanks for putting it on your list, Kyle. I did want to talk about it. It just like it didn't make it for me. There was just so much other stuff.
Yeah. It was just a very consistent one for me.
Oh shit! Is it my turn?
Yeah.
Number 6, Tiny Moving Parts, Swell.
Boo.
Yeah, I think I've heard you guys talk about this on another episode. I don't know, y'all. Another thing with tasteful synth, I think a lot of the synth on this was like well placed, but there was like a song or two where I would hear synth and I was like, okay, like that's not that good. But I'd say as a whole, I didn't love every song on this record. I think I like Celebrate more, honestly. I don't know. It's just like Tiny Moving Parts is a really important band for me. Like This Couch was like my gateway drug to a lot of the emo that I got into. Like I didn't hear Castevet or like Snowing or anything until I heard This Couch first. So I feel like it's just like kind of a bias thing, but I just think a lot of the riffs were really well done and really catchy. The drumming was seemed a lot more intentional in a good way than on past releases. It just seems like it was more well thought out. And there's just a lot of catchiness to it. And there's a callback in one of the songs to a song on this couch, and that I nerd out for callbacks. Like I freak out.
Oh, you
about
must have
callbacks.
loved the new Oliver Houston.
Oh yeah. I sure as hell did. That's why I like the Wonder Years a lot too, because they always do callbacks and stuff, and like
Yeah.
and like we do. I don't know. Like I always do callbacks in like everything that we do. So it's like I'm just a major sucker for that kind of shit. So
I once spent like a week trying to get my friend into the Wonder Years, and I wrote like this whole fucking essay about how I feel so strongly that they've constructed this beautiful universe inside of that trilogy, the Upside, Suburbia, and Greatest Generation, and how I felt like it was like a literary work, like it just hit me so hard and it meant so much to me. And they listened to it and they were like, this is okay, I guess. And I
yeah, no, that Wonder Years record came out this year, didn't it?
Yep.
Oh yeah, but that one sucked.
Yeah, I didn't. That was like, it kind of felt like radio rock to me, so that's like probably why it's not on my list. And
it was
why I didn't
definitely
remember.
like emo Foo Fighters, but I saw them live and I lost my shit 90% of the set.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, you've got to. But yeah,
Played
Tiny
Rose
Moving
Diner.
Parts.
Yeah.
Oh, they played Melrose Diner. We gotta talk about that for 1 second. That's tight.
Well,
that's all.
They've been rotating which song from the Upsides that they play on this tour. It's either Melrose Diner or
They only play one?
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's either Melrose Diner or fuck, what's that? No, it's not two songs from the Upsides. It's either Melrose Diner or Coffee Eyes. And
Oh shit! Yeah.
those are probably two of my top 3 Wonder Years songs. So I was gonna be happy either way, but
Yeah, that's the dream.
Slightly Coffee Eyes, and my friend that I've seen them with a couple times now, they never play Coffee Eyes whenever I see him, but he's seen Coffee Eyes live, and he just always gives me shit for it.
That's the way.
Oh shit, it's my turn. Okay, number 6, right?
Yeah.
Some Rap Songs by Earl Sweatshirt. And I know this is a very recent album, but it is an album that has captured my heart and my mind and my imagination. Because this album reminds me a lot of Donuts by Jay Dilla. In that it feels like a collection of lo-fi beats that a young producer would like shop around and say, I can work with this. And like I was talking about in the last episode, like it feels very old school in production style, in that the samples rely a lot on looping rather than layering, which I think is very unique. And this record is also, it's also a very heartbreaking record, because this is a record that was made in the wake of Earl losing his dad and his uncle and Mac Miller all in a row. The lyrics are buried, but they're worth coming back to the album for. And I feel like this is one of those records that I am going to listen to over and over again, then one day just realize that I know all the words. So yeah, and I also appreciate that he like scaled back his lyrical approach for this album, because he's very well known for his lyrical acrobatics, but this one is just very direct and a lot less writerly, from the heart, I guess I would say. Earl Sweatshirt, emo hip hop album of the year.
Would this be a good one to like get into Earl on?
No, the album that I would suggest to get into Earl would be I Don't Like Shit, I Don't Go Outside.
Okay.
Which is also just as compact as Some Rap Songs. Both of them are like less than 30 minutes long, but I Don't Like Shit is the most accessible. It's very grimy and claustrophobic, but it also is a very welcoming record.
Okay.
And it's a lot of Earl himself. There's not too many features.
Word. Well, my number 5 is a small DIY band called Kid Sees Ghosts, or Kids See Ghosts. This is like one of the instant reserve a spot on the top 10 for it albums. I was blown away from it right away. This is Kid Cudi and Kanye West. I mean, everyone said very articulate things about this album. You can go to any fucking publication, they're blowing smoke. But it's so fucking good. It seems like master craft level of like hip hop. You have Kanye West and you have Kid Cudi like returning to form and just making this very vibey thing. Like I can just imagine them just like in a room, just like feeling these songs and then putting them out like within a week. But at the same time, like it seems like something that could have been worked on for like 15 years. But to me, it kind of feels like off the cuff, and just like
and it's so
figuring
compact.
it out. Yeah, it's 24 minutes long. It's 7 tracks.
Is this the one? Does the album artwork look like super emo? Like it looks like it would be like an emo band.
The album artwork was done by a Japanese artist, who I'm forgetting the name of, but I know Kanye has worked with them before.
Because I think I've seen this album art and been like, oh, I should check that out. That looks like something just based on the artwork that I would like, but I never did. So I didn't even know that it was like a Kanye thing.
There
Yeah.
was the album art for Ye, which he made on his iPhone.
Oh, the album
That
art
could be what I'm
for
thinking
Ye,
of.
I think is what it is. That's the
Yeah.
one that it's like I hate being bipolar. Or
Yeah,
like,
that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
This is another one that missed my top 10, but barely.
I'm gonna have to listen to it after this because that like all of what you said intrigued me. Like
It's very good, and I will say the montage of Hex sample from Kurt Cobain
Yeah,
is
oh shit.
it's like
yeah, that meant the fucking world to me. when I
yeah,
heard
it kind of fucked me up.
Just kind of.
Did anyone here watch Montage of Heck? The
No,
Kurt Cobain documentary.
I knew it would just
I
kind of ruin my day if I did.
That's accurate.
It's beautiful. Kurt Cobain was him, not just Nirvana. Obviously, I love Nirvana, but like Kurt Cobain as a person was a very big deal to me growing up, and Montage of Heck really fucked with me. So highly recommended. I don't know. I like feeling like shit after I come out of the I like to feel like emotionally battered. All right,
All right.
Tyler?
My number 5 is the 1975 A Brief Inquiry into Online Relationships. I fucking love the 1975 like a lot, especially within the past like year and a half. Like just the vibe of their music and their guitar work has influenced the way that I play guitar in a weird way. There are some like New Stars Hollow riffs where I'll listen to them back while I'm trying to write lyrics and stuff, and I'm like, oh shit, like this is like a 1975 like strumming pattern. Like it's like just super, I don't know, just super choppy and like 80s sounding. But I like this record a lot. Love It If We Made It is probably one of my favorite songs from the past like 10 years. It's just all listening to it front to back just gave me this vibe that I was like a teenager again, which is like kind of what I look for in a lot of music, I guess. But it's just like made me feel like I could focus on just like how catchy the songs were, and it made me feel I didn't have to focus on things in like a snooty way like I do with some music. But yeah, everything's just good and catchy, and it has a good flow to it. There's like an interesting like story spoken word kind of interlude in the middle that I thought was like weird as hell, but it was super cool. And then the acoustic song that comes after Love It If We Made It is like a heartbreaker. And yeah, it's just a really good record, and it's one of those things where it's like I feel super weird having it so high, especially since it's like kind of an Urban Outfitters kind of fucking band. But I don't know, I love it. So in 1975, that's that.
Tyler, I like you a lot. I've decided.
I'm glad
So-
it's mutual.
Yeah, so I'm only going to pick one thing to clown on you for here, which is the lyric. The left and right are pulling farther and apart, but you can just click add to cart.
I'm not saying everything's a masterpiece, but you gotta have some bad parts to make the good parts even better. You know, that's the
That's a very, very beautiful way of looking at the world. All right, number 5 is Only Self by Jesus Piece. So what I want to say about this record is I literally set an alarm on my phone to like the minute I woke up, just listen to this album immediately because I knew it was coming out the next day. And I listened to it like 5 times in a row. And it's just one of the most perfectly constructed, punishing pieces of metallic hardcore that's ever been committed to tape. I think this is what the Integrity would sound like, or should sound like, in 2018. It's like the perfect contemporary update of their 90s work with like Humanity is the Devil, etc. And if I had to summarize this album in one sentence, it would be that it reached into my body and pulled my asshole out through my mouth.
I like it when you talk pretty like that.
That's how fucking heavy this album is.
I was just thinking, I was like, Ellie talks like a Pitchfork article, except like with better opinions. And then you said that. And then I was like, that evens it out.
Thank you. All right. Let's move on because I don't think I can like say anything on top of that.
I'm kind of in a weird predicament where my cat is laying on top of my list. So let me just move her a little bit.
My girlfriend sent me like 3 pictures of her with her cat like earlier, and it like definitely drew my attention away from what was being said momentarily.
Cats are important.
My number 4, it's Hop Along, Bark Your Head Off, Dog. I've said it before, like this album is just like otherworldly to me. Like it just, whenever I hear it, it takes me to like a very specific place, and I don't know if that's just like the production on it. This is a Joe Reinhardt from Algernon produced album, and it's just like the instrumentation is it's fucking well deep with fucking things that pop up once and then it'll come back sometimes, and it's like one of the most well put together albums I've heard in like a really long time, definitely of this year. A lot of stuff I listen to is just kind of like slopped and just kind of ignorantly put together, but like this is just like craft. And I love Get Disowned. I don't love Painted Shut, so I wasn't like looking forward to this, but enough people were just like, dude, no, like fucking drop what you're doing, listen to it. And it's just been there the entire year for me. I feel like Joe adds a lot to this with guitar playing and just riffs that are just like, how the fuck did someone think of this? And that's another thing. Like, I don't understand how like a human can like think to put something like this together. Like, I know they're professional musicians, but it's like, oh, but what if we added this fucking violin part and then we bring it back at this point in this song, and it like adds, it just makes a world of a difference to it. I don't know. This is like the best thing in indie rock for sure of this year, at least to me.
I really loved Paint It Shut, so I think that is like what the disconnect here is between you and me, Kyle. Like, okay. I thought Paint It Shut was amazing. I don't have anything negative to say about this album either. I thought it was great.
I listened to it once and I liked it. I just didn't really revisit it very much, but I like literally remember thinking, oh, this is really good, and then I just didn't check it back out. But
it's definitely not like a passive listen too.
Yeah,
it's not like immediately gratifying. Also, can we just say like there's nothing emo about Hop Along? It's fucking, it's so fucking indie, it hurts.
Yeah, that's accurate. I'd agree with that. Number 4, Anthony Green, Would You Still Be in Love? I haven't listened to Anthony Green a whole ton since Avalon came out in like 2008 or something. It might not have been that long ago, but it was a while ago. But this album like is one of the most beautiful albums I've heard in a long time. The very first song I think is called Vera Lynn, and honestly that kind of drew me in because I was like, oh haha, like the snowing song, you know. And then I listened and I was like, oh shit, this is like really good because it has kind of like this like minimalistic like 1960s vibe to it of just like simple songwriting, pretty melody. Like I just really liked it a lot. And then I kept listening, and like further in you kind of get more of that like Good Old War influence of them being like his backing band, and you can see it and be like, oh, this, like you can see the Good Old War like takes part in this, but it's never so much that I feel like I'm listening to a Good Old War song, which is what I worry about with that a lot. But yeah, just front to back, beautiful record. There was not a single song on it that I wanted to skip. It just goes back to more of those like singer-songwriter roots that I liked Avalon a lot for. And he didn't even need like Pete Wentz in a music video to get me to care about it like back then. So yeah, really good record. And if anyone hasn't like listened to Anthony Green for a long time, I would recommend jumping back in with this, just because it's like it feels nostalgic, but also just feels like a brand new experience at the same time. So it's cool.
I've gotten a lot of unfavorable and unpleasant celebrity comparisons, but I strongly remember one of the nicest things that anyone has ever said to me is that I look like a cross between Anthony Green and Gerard Way, and
That's the best thing you could be.
Yeah.
that made me feel very, very good about myself for
That's what we
approximately 20 minutes until like the black hole of validation took over. So
That's what we all
Alright.
strive to be.
yeah, but Anthony Green's very extremely talented person.
Oh,
like
yes.
it's objective, like it's undeniable. Anyway, number 4, Error Zone by Vane. A lot higher on my list than yours. Kyle, is this on your list at all?
It's not.
No.
No.
I remember you like really enjoying it and like talking to me about it.
I
when
love it.
Like right after it came out. Yeah. I think that this album is one that snuck up on me. I don't remember really loving it when I first heard it, despite the fact that I was really looking forward to it. I got the leak, listened to it early. But since it came out, I've just slowly found myself coming back to it and back to it and back to it more and more as the year goes on. And I feel like it's not as monstrously heavy as Jesus Piece, and it's not as searingly personal and direct as Hers Collective, but there is just this element of songcraft that is undeniable. I feel like the way that Vane utilizes new metal aesthetic while still maintaining the basic energy and heaviness of hardcore is extremely appealing to me. And the use of clean vocals is extremely well done. Like, I feel like clean vocals are coming back in like hardcore proper, and I could not be more stoked on that. And I think Vane are one of the bands that is doing it the best. Ultimately, I just think it's a very well-crafted record, and I think that it plays with sonic textures very well. It plays with guitar tone very well. The incorporation of electronics is done not in like an experimental way, but in a way that almost makes it more accessible. Like that, the break beats in the opening track are so fucking chef's kiss. But yeah, stellar record and 27 minutes. So
The dream. Yes. Sweet
that's
spot.
the theme. All right, moving on.
Number 3, Drug Church Cheer.
Mm.
I feel like this album came out like a month ago, and it basically did, and I feel that strongly about it that it got a number 3 spot for me. There are just so many just like moments on this record that I can't get out of my head. Like, even if they're not like musical, just like lines get stuck in my head.
You push your sister's boyfriend down the stairs.
Yeah,
I forgot to mention.
Yeah, that
That's such a fucking good lyricist. Like, such a fucking good lyricist.
yeah, and you could like hear him, and I think that's the thing. Like on Self-Defense, he's, I guess, less like clear, but here it's like up front. It's like it's just as engaging as the music, and the music's really engaging. And when I first heard this, I'm like, okay, like this is, for some reason it's way better than anything else they've put out, and I still don't know why, but I think it's just, I mean, you said there's more they like took their time on it, I guess, but
You don't like Hit Your Head?
I mean, I really like them. I've always been like more of like a passive fan. Like, I'll definitely check out everything that they do, but this, like, I didn't think they had something this profound in them, and profound is what it fucking is. Like,
And it's on Pure Noise.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's all really surprising to me. Yeah, I think Patrick this is like the best thing I've heard him do for sure. And okay, this kind of reminds me of like Single Mothers, where it's like that, like kind of like talk, just very sardonic and like dark humor kind of stuff. But
A hardcore version of the Hold Steady, yeah.
yeah, which is something that we've always wanted. But
Yeah,
this,
man,
like,
that first Single Mothers record, sorry to get off track, but that first Negative Qualities by Single Mothers, fuck.
It's great.
That's my album of the year every year.
I'm like very blown away by it, and I don't know. Is this a hardcore record? Do we like call this hardcore?
I don't know if I would.
I don't think I would.
It's definitely a Jace.
Yeah.
It to me it's post-hardcore for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all I got for it.
Let's see, number 3. Okay, my number 3 is Nicole Dollanganger, Heart Shaped Bed.
She put out a record this year. Really?
Yeah, Heart Shaped Bed came out. So she put out half of it really early this year or late last year, but she put out the half of it that she completely wrote, and then the second half of the record was like co-written and produced by other people. So the full thing came out like a couple of months ago. It was like right around Halloween, maybe like a week before. But so like Natural Born Losers is probably one of my most listened to albums of all time. I love that record so much. So I had like really high expectations for this, and honestly it probably met the expectations, which I didn't expect it to. But yeah, I think the whole thing just like has really good use of like both the more like haunting, chill acoustic instrument vibe of things, like just like pianos and like acoustic, just all the things that like make it seem haunting. But then she does a lot of programmed drums and stuff that makes it more electronic feeling throughout. She always plays shows with like Code Orange and stuff, and like heavier.
Yeah, I was
bands,
gonna
which-
see. I was gonna say, did you like see her with Code Orange?
No, I'm actually very bummed I haven't. But it's one of those things where like when I listen to this record, it makes sense to me that happens because it's just so eerie, and there's just a thing about it that like feels like you're watching some kind of like really melancholy like part of a horror movie where something bad is about to happen but it hasn't happened yet. And I don't know, I just really like the first half of the record. All the stuff that she like completely wrote herself is just phenomenal, and I got really attached to it when it first came out, and then the second half coming out with it in October blew me away too, because there's a song that just sounds like it would be like, I don't know, like Deftones would co-write it or something, and then there's another song that sounds like Grimes co-wrote it, and it's just a really well-balanced record, and I think it made sense for where she was at in her career, so I love it. It's good stuff.
Number 3 for me, Distant Relatives by California Cousins. I am as surprised as anyone that how far this climbed up my list, because I came into 2018 feeling like Twinkle was dead to me. And there's been a litany of releases this year that have just like completely resparked my interest in it and passion for it. And this is definitely one of the prime examples of that. And I think the reason that this appeals to me so much is it's dancey. It's dancey and it's groovy.
It is. It's groovy as hell.
Yeah.
And so no matter how intricate the guitar gets or how harsh the vocals get, you always have that rhythmic bass to fall back on. And I fall back on it every single time that I listen to this album. Like, listen to it maybe like 100 fucking times already this year. And I think the vocal hooks are perfect. I think that all the jams are perfect, because if there are some moments on this record where it feels like they just decided to fucking jam, and it works so well, and their feedback works so well. The guitar tone on this album is one of the most perfect fucking
Yeah.
tones.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's not too fat, it's not too thin, it's just like fucking punches you like
It's
right
like-
in the face.
Exactly.
It's like really unique to their sound too, right?
Yeah, I haven't heard any band that has been able to capture this guitar tone, and I love that the vocals are buried in the mix. I love that there's like a little bit of mystery to them.
Yeah, I feel like when I hear a Cali Cousins song, like I know it's a Cali Cousins song, like right away. Like
For sure. And I feel like I can trace a lot of the groove and dance to it back to the fact that Cali Cousins were in a hardcore band. They were in Knife Cult, and I can feel that. Like I can feel the hardcore and the screamo influence, as well as like the blatant pop elements in here. And I don't know, this album like really fucking took me by storm when it came out. So I hope that California Cousins continues to blow up as much as they seem to be right now. I hope they get Mom Jeans big.
hell yeah.
Before we get into our number twos, I just want to ask: do y'all know what our lists are gonna end up on?
You mean are you asking what we think everyone's number one is going to be?
Yeah, or number one
Okay.
and two.
Number 1 and 2.
I don't think they'll be the same as either of y'all's.
Like, there's some options that I
mean, Kyle, one of mine might match up with yours, but I don't think Ellie would be down with the situation here.
Everyone's number 1 is Mom Jeans Puppy Love. I'm calling it
Oh,
right now.
oh no.
Did Just Friends make an appearance on anybody's list? I don't
They're on my.
Don't say.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna give them a shout out.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, they're in your
so,
honorable mentions. Okay.
so now I don't know. I thought like those could be in your top 2, Tyler, but I didn't know how to read you there. I don't know.
Yeah, it's my number 2 is a wild card, honestly. So
Okay.
it'll.
Kyle knows my number 1 already, so it's like unfair of him to. bring this.
Okay. I'll start with my number 2 then. Awake but still in bed.
No, wait, Kyle.
What?
I think that your number 2 is going to be Astro World.
No.
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 Never mind.
My number 2 is awake but still in bed. What people call low self-esteem is really just seeing yourself as the way that other people see you. I fucked up that a little bit at some point, but yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is, to me, the emo album of the year, for sure. I feel like we all just gotta like drop what we're doing and appreciate an album like this because it doesn't come out that often. It's huge. It means the world to me. Catharsis, it's very thoughtful. Just song structure is so good. There's influence that's like emo, like the Hotel Year, but reading all of her interviews and stuff, she's into some cool stuff like Brave Little Abacus, They Might Be Giants. There's there's lots of influence there, and
Alice in Chains.
yeah, it's it's an album, just 100% worth celebrating, especially for this like scene in this genre. So, Ellie, you're probably
I
gonna
wish
cover
I would have liked it sooner.
it.
Like,
It doesn't matter because you're gonna like it, and that's how.
yeah, I mean, I like it now. Like, that's all
Yeah.
that matters.
Yeah. So yeah, this was the year of Awake but Still in Bed for me.
Hell yeah. All right.
What is this number 2?
Number 2. Yeah, this isn't going to be on either of y'all. It's Brockhampton, Iridescence. I fucking love Brockhampton. I did not like Brockhampton whatsoever until this album came out. We were on tour with Charmer and our bassist Jess and the photographer we brought, his name's Beck. They kept talking about Brockhampton because they kept talking about how like they had new songs coming out and there was like a lot of hype and it was going to be so cool. And I was just like, okay, like whatever. It's probably just some like whatever band that I won't care about. But then I listened to the opening song, which is, I can't remember if it's Berlin. I don't remember the song names at all, but it just like goes hard. And it's just like every rapper is just so like unique. Like they all have such a unique style of their own that just like melds together really well. The songs in terms of flow are just like phenomenal. There are some songs that are like a minute long that like just bridge into the next one perfectly. They have some songs that are just like conversations with like a loop behind it that are just really like tone setting. But yeah, this record was incredible. I don't think I would ever care to like see them live or anything because like I just feel like that might ruin the experience for me. But as a record that I can sit down and listen to, phenomenal. It's like one of my favorite records I've heard in a long time, and it's just unique. And I'm behind the boy band wave. I'm part of it now. So
I like Brockhampton. I have not listened to this record, and like I started off this year being hugely into Brockhampton. At least like this, like the whole Saturation trilogy.
I highly recommend it. It's just like, I don't know, it just hooked me from the first song, and then like when you hit the song Wait, it's just like so cool. There's like a part in the song Wait where did y'all ever listen to The Sound of Animals Fighting?
Yeah.
Yes.
There's like a part that straight up reminds me of a song by The Sound of Animals Fighting. Like it's fucking amazing. Which is weird just because it's a hip hop album, but like one of the dudes, I'm pretty sure his name's Joba or whatever. I'm pretty sure he used to be an emo kid probably. So it makes sense. But yeah, really good record. Highly recommend it.
Number 2 on my list is Friends, Lovers, Favorites by the Hers Collective. Hers are a band that have been around for a very, very long time, since like 2011, and they are only now really starting to get the notoriety that I think they deserve. They are they're pissed off. So, I was trying to describe their genre, but they're pissed off. They're grindy. They're emo violence-y
Yeah.
at some points. Sludgy, straight up breakdown and beatdowny at others. I don't really. They're undefinable essentially, but they're a pissed off band. They are radically political. They're extremely personal. The fact that they like hardcore this year, everything in general this year became like extremely politicized, I think, for good reason. But I think that hers, like straight up naming a song "Assigned Cop at Birth" ACAB, that's fucking gutsy as hell.
That is.
That's so confrontational. That's everything that made me fall in love with hardcore. And hearing a band be so open and personal about being trans and so confrontational about being trans and incorporating that into like not just their lyrics but the overall vibe of the band, like everything about it just feels queer as fuck, you know? Like there's nothing about this album that is cishet. It's punishing and it's fucking violent. It makes me feel like I'm being thrown around the room like a rag doll, but it's also catchy and hooky as all hell. And the features are so good. They got Laura Jane Grace on this record. They have Shirley Manson from Garbage on this record. Like it's so beautiful and consistent. Maybe beautiful is not the correct word, but it's beautiful in its own disgusting, ripped from the dredges of an ashtray that's a year old type of way. I don't know. This record like really just came and kicked me in the fucking face this year, and I'm really happy about it.
They like seem to have like this like cult fan base. That's
yeah.
Because like I've been hearing about like have you been to a Her show before shit for like when I was into like the grimy power violence shit. And I mean like they don't like they like live in that scene, but it's also like they also live in like the queer community like very well. Like they're like well known in that, and like their shows, they like literally just like Jenga piece guitar amps on top of each other, play drums through an iPod, and have like a dance party in the middle of all of their sets.
That's
and
wild.
Yeah.
It's just like the most fringy, beautiful thing in the entire
And
hardcore world.
I guess I would describe them as like the gay beatdown version of Cloud Rat.
Yeah.
Does that,
I
does
mean,
that make
like,
sense?
Yeah, I mean, like musically, yeah.
I don't know. They're an amazing fucking band, and they're not. I guess they're not really a band. You know, they're not like an artist. It's a amorphous, ever shifting collective, but they have somehow maintained this consistent voice over the course of 7 years, and that's also extremely impressive.
Yeah, and like I thought it was so fucking wild to like one day click open the internet and see like Hers is debuting a song on NPR.
Yeah,
Oh, that's wild.
amazing.
But it
I
really
love
didn't
them.
do like that much for them. Like they aren't on lists really. I mean, not on like mainstream lists or anything, but
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, I think that's like a demographic kind of thing.
They're on the AV Club's list,
Oh, that's tight.
well, there you go.
and they're on the No Echo list, but
For sure.
that's because of me. So
You
That was
have the
my end.
power.
by the power of Ray Skull. Yeah. All right, Kyle, you wanna do your number one?
Yeah, my number one, JPEG Mafia Veteran.
All right. That was my second guess for your number two, actually.
Okay. After Astro World?
Yeah.
This album really just fucking does it all for me. Like, it's just extremely pissed off. It's you know, it's noisy rap, for lack of a better descriptor. Yes, you can make a comparison to Death Grips, but I like it more than Death Grips.
I wish Death Grip sounded like this.
Yeah, just way experimental, like fucking sampling ODB vocal frying and then just screaming over it. I mean, honestly, the song that hooked me in was I Cannot Wait Until Morrissey Fucking Dies. It's just absurd, but it's also just like intensely
my shit in my year. I can never just like not like think of myself pressing play on this for the first time, because I was like, I need to cherish this moment. Like this, like I only get to listen to this for the first time one time, and like it's making every hair on my body stand up straight. It's just, and like I don't have many words for this besides like it just makes me, it just fucking moves me in like the most weird, cathartic, angry way, and it's like intensely political. It's so confrontational. Yeah, it's just been something that I've known is going to be my favorite album of the year, and I'm going to think back on 2018 as the year that Veteran came out, because I'm fucking stupid. So that's my number one.
Incredible. I've just realized, I think that like the only album I've had in common with either of y'all the whole time was the Vane album. That's wild.
Oh wow,
Sick.
I'm kind of like happy about that.
Yeah, I mean that's it's a pretty cool like thing that we all three have like such diverse like lists. I mean, I don't know. You just I feel like a lot of people that would like come to this podcast like and listen to this would expect that we'd have like the same like 5 bands, you know, with a little bit of variation, but it's like all different, which is tight.
What I've also enjoyed is that like what we're saying about the albums has only become like more emotional as we're going forward. Like we're just getting more and more invested as we're going up the list, which I guess is how like the order of the list should work. But I've just really enjoyed like feeling that progression.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it starts off kind of just like, oh, this was a cool album, then it turns into like this album wrecked my life kind of thing. You know?
Yeah.
My number one is Charmer, their self-titled record. I love Charmer. We've done 2 tours with Charmer, and the first one was like random. Like we just got asked by their booking agent from No Sleep, like if we wanted to do a tour with them because we were at about the same level and like we, you know, were in the same realm of music, and so we had never met or heard of Charmer before, and so we started the tour, first day of tour, just like not knowing each other whatsoever, and very quickly just like loved each other's music, loved each other's people. And then this album came out after that first tour, and I just could not stop listening to it. It's kind of like when I heard, what's the Free Throw record called? Those Days Are Gone.
Those Days Are Gone.
Yeah, I felt kind of the same way, except stronger. Like I liked that Free Throw record, but when listening to this Charmer record, I just was like so invested, and it just reminded me of being in college, and the songwriting was just so like tasteful, and the songs aren't like overly indulgent. Like each song just does what it needs to do and then is done. Like it doesn't like feel the need to like wait around and like try to be over the top. And I really like David's lyrics. I just think he writes really, really interesting lyrics. They're just kind of like feel like slice of life lyrics almost, just like not trying to be deep or anything. It's just like, hey, this is what's happening, this is how it happened, here's how I felt about it, and then the song's over. I just really admire them as people and songwriters, and that record honestly is going to stick with me for a long time, both because the songs are just really amazing, and we just have, I feel like our band has a lot of positive memories just attached to that band and those songs. So yeah, Charmer, self-titled. It's probably one of my favorite emo records I've listened to in the past like 5 years. That's my list.
Fuck yeah. Kyle already knows, but Tyler, would you like to take a stab at guessing what my number one is going to be?
Is there like a chance that I know, or is this like there's no way I'm going to get it right?
No, there's definitely a chance that you know. It's a very Ellie pick, I think.
See, you say that, but then if it's a true Ellie pick, I will have never heard of it in my life.
Jesus Christ.
So I'll literally, you'll say it and I'll be like, nope, just fucking no idea. So I'm not even going to try, because it's going to be some like band called like Cold Floor, and the album's going to be called like Trunk Face, and you're going to be like, this was reminiscent of 1980s Screamo, and I'm going to be like, I don't know what's happening. So
all right. My number one album of this year is What People Call Low Self-Esteem Is Just Seeing Yourself the Way That Other People See You by Awake But Still in Bed.
Oh, I should have guessed that, honestly.
Yeah. So the first time I heard this album, I was like, this is a really good album. You know, like way that most people hopefully felt when they heard that album for the first time. And Awake But Still in Bed were coming through Las Vegas, and I decided I was just going to go see him. I didn't have any friends who wanted to go with me to this show. Like, all the people who said they were going to go with me fucking bailed last minute. So I was like, I'm going to go see Awake But Still in Bed by myself. Fuck it. And went to the show. They played an amazing set. Hung out with Shannon afterwards, and we had, like, really weirdly long personal conversation. And I went back and listened to the album on my way home, and listened to it and listened to it and listened to it until 4 a.m. that night. And I think the fact that this album came out in January and I decided it was my album of the year, like, after seeing them that time, and it's just not even, my opinion has not even wavered, like, not even once on that. It's just consistently been my favorite thing musically that's come out this year at all. And we're getting to the point now where, like, I feel so strongly about the music that I don't even have words. It's just, it comes together perfectly. It's so cohesive. It's kind of a concept record. You'd say that, right, Kyle?
Yeah.
Kind of a concept record about depression, about, like, the end of a relationship that was not going so great, maybe. And it just, like, feels like a part of me. Like, there's something about this music that feels like it tapped into a part of, like, my brain that I didn't even realize was there, but now it is, and Awake But Still in Bed occupies it wholly and completely. And yeah, there's really nothing else to say about this record. I think it's perfect. I think, like, the same way that Kyle says that 2018 is going to be the year that Veteran came out, 2018 is going to be the year that Awake But Still in Bed's debut came out and knocked me on my ass. Amazing record.
Yeah.
Well, for the sake of
Do
time,
honorable mention?
I'm gonna run through my honorable mentions. I'm gonna run through EPs because I put EPs separately.
All right.
My honorable mentions: Snail Mail. That's like number 11 for me, definitely. Cursive, Vitriola, Parquet Courts. Is that album called Wide Awake? Yeah, I think that album's called Wide Awake. That album fucking rules. On a Birch, Quit the Curse, Fred Thomas, Aftering, Jeff Rosenstock. He put out an album and it's not in my top 10. How fucked up is that? That must have been a good year for music.
Right? Yeah.
Candy, Good to Feel. Man, that album's fucking good too. Joyce Manor, $1 Million to Kill Me. I love it more than most people. Riley Walker, the Lily White Sessions. That's a Dave Matthews thing. EPs, Stars Hollow, Happy Again. The Max Seal EP, Darkle, Pain Train, and the Everyone EP, and Origami Angel doing the most. Good. Like, this is a good ass year for emo EPs in particular.
Oh yeah, almost all my EPs are emo for sure.
Yeah, same here. It's a good list. Shit. Mine are, like, I don't know. I don't even have the album names written down because it's just, like, the bands I think that were, like, that mattered that I didn't listen to enough. But Just Friends. I think that record was super good, but it just wasn't, like, exactly what I loved the most. But I think it had a big impact on the community. Mom Jeans, once again, like, the record just didn't click with me quite as much. Golfer, I feel like,
oh motherfucker.
Yeah, that record reminded me of the first time I heard that Golfer record. It reminded me of the first time I heard "Grow Up, Dude" by You Blew It, and, like, that's a good thing because I really like You Blew It. But I don't know. I just didn't go back to it very much. But I know objectively in my mind that it's good and that it's something that I would like. Hot Mulligan Pilot, once again, it's just a really influential thing for the scene at this time, and that band's gonna do crazy things. Awake But Still in Bed, just didn't have enough time with it. But acknowledging it now, I know that it's really good and that I'm probably gonna start listening to it way more. And then Many Rooms put out a record this year that was really, really good. It reminded me of, I think, Grouper is the artist's name, but I really enjoyed it. Very chill and atmospheric. Just, like, I used it more as background noise. I didn't listen, like, super intently. And then EPs, Gami Gang doing the most. That I fucking love Ryland. I love Origami Angel. That was one of my favorite releases of the year for sure. Commander Salamander, their like 2-song thing that they put out. I like Pamela especially a lot. Really good song. With Iowa in Between, I talked about them at the beginning of the podcast, I think, like 5,000 hours ago. It's called So Many Ways to Not Say Anything. Really, really good. It's weird. They recorded with the same guy that we do. They had the artwork done by the same person that did Happy Again's artwork. And it's just like, I don't know, they're like a buddy band. I love those people a lot. Boy Genius, that EP was incredible, especially Phoebe Bridgers' like songs more so. I loved them so much. And then Lakenheath, A Year Back Home, that's the song that I said to put in earlier, and it's a very good EP, highly underrated. I think Gavin deserves the world. So yeah, those are mine.
Right. Honorable mentions. Come Over When You're Sober Part 2 by Little Peep. The only reason this did not make it into my top 10 is because it was posthumous and kind of cobbled together. Had Little Peep still been alive and spent maybe a little bit more time with this record and polishing it, making it what he wanted to be, this probably would have been much higher. Enemy by Ostraka, really, really good Richmond Screamo. Good to Feel by Candy. I don't know what else to say about that record.
Filthy.
Wish it were longer. Yeah. The Ghost Spirit and Frail Body split record.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Frail Body.
No Matter the Cost by Blind Justice. One of the hardest and most immediate hardcore records I've heard in a long time. Time and Space by Turnstile. Let Pain Be Your Guide by Portrayal of Guilt. Really happy that those people are from Austin. I think that's fucking great. Really excited to see them next time that they start playing shows. The self-titled LP by Youth, EUTH. Really good kind of white belty false grind. The Infant Island self-titled, which is like shoegaze meets screamo. Denouement by Respire, which is post-rock meets black metal meets screamo. Gillian Carter, This Earth-Shaped Tomb, really progressive emotive hardcore record. Pusha T, Daytona, Kids See Ghosts, Live and Let's Die by Kid Farrell, which is some of the catchiest fucking scrams I've heard in forever. Coma Regalia, The Mirror, just another great record from Coma Regalia. Dirge of Escapism by Primal Right, which is power trip but better in my opinion, and Lucy is like one of the best vocalists in the scene working right now for sure. Veteran by JPEG Mafia, Fiddlehead, Springtime and Blind, Dog Blessed by Golfer, and I'm gonna end it with the Cheem TV record because I don't know what my feelings on it are, but they are very strong. So I imagine that means something. I have no idea if I like it or not. EPs, Max Seal, Map It Out. No capitals, no spaces. Nearsighted and considered disastrous. Really good beatdowny screamo EP. The self-titled EP by Emma Goldman. Easy Listening by Dad Thighs. There's a Dark Shadow on the Flames of the Burning Sun Part 1 by Short Fictions. Monuments of Grief by Clavel, which I cannot recommend more. Just really progressive, interesting, just extremely progressive hardcore. That's how I describe it. Dark Old Pain Train, One-Sided LP by Lytic, which is a new band from members of Seisha. It's very good. The Demo by Diana Crawls, I Love You by Meth, Rat Race by Nesh, which is more white belty false grind shit. I love it. The Common Salad 2-song EP. Changes by Milspec, which is instant classic hardcore EP for sure. Stars Hollow Happy Again, and the number one spot is a tie between Origami Angel Doing the Most and Commit More Arson by Binary.
Thanks for putting me on both of y'all's list. That makes me want to cry.
There's no question, no fucking question, dude.
That makes me want to cry. I'll be sure to tell Jesse and Andrew too. Andrew won't care, but Jesse will care. So
let's blast through these our emo best of 2018 awards. I say we just all go at once. Emo Artist of the Year, Awake but
Still in Bed.
Yeah.
I said Charmer, but that's you know. The bias is real.
I imagine these will kind of be all the same maybe for everyone, but best emo album, Awake but Still in Bed.
What people? Yeah.
Charmer.
Best new emo artist, Awake
I
Still
said
in Bed.
Gami, I don't know if I call him new.
Yeah, I think my standard for new is more so like doesn't have a full length out. most of the time, or like they've just now broken to some point. But I agree, they're not like new, but in the realm of like I've never heard of you before, I'd say they got me.
I'm gonna say Awake but Still in Bed because it has to be,
Yeah,
but,
it felt wrong to put something else for me.
yeah.
Best emo band to break up.
Oliver Houston.
Oliver Houston.
Yeah. See, I misunderstood this question, and I thought you meant like the one we were most glad broke up. But
Well,
So
let's
I
hear
was
that
like-
one.
I literally wrote down all emo should break up, but Oliver Houston would be my answer, honestly. So,
Say Anything was a close second for me though.
oh yeah,
Oh yeah.
that's-
Best emo song. I went with "Shoulder It" by Retirement Party because that's such a good fucking song. That's like
Oh, we didn't talk about Retirement Party at all.
No.
Good
Um,
man though.
I went with Hold My Ticket by California Cousins. I think that's just like an immaculately constructed song.
I had a tie between "Thanks I Hate It" by Gami and then "Topanga Lawrence" by Charmer.
Topanga's
Oh
like
yeah,
such-
my runner-up
such
is
a banger.
definitely Rom Hack, by the way.
Rom, yeah, I
Yeah.
had Rom down and then I scribbled it out for "Thanks I Hate It," but good stuff.
Best R emo post. So my favorite one is basically clowning on the fact that it exists, but it is "This is the number of people who want the mods to unban Sister Cities."
What?
That was such a fucking shit show. That was so stupid.
It totally is like the funniest R emo post because it's that fucking stupid. So I had to put it there.
All right, I also clowning on the post, but I went with your sad SoundCloud rap is not emo because
Oh,
it was
that's a good one.
It was just a
Pretty good
bunch
one.
of butthurt elders like talking about how rap and emo should not coexist, which had vaguely racial implications for me, but whatever.
I put sarcastically every single American football post because I'm fucking tired of it.
Every year, at the end of every year, I like look at the top posts of the year for our emo, and like it never fails that at least the first 8 of them are American football related.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like there was one where that guy was playing Never Meant on a guitar and a bass at the same time, and that was like that's kind of cool. But yeah, the rest is just like people posting the pictures of the fucking house and then
Yeah.
posting how they have a picture of the house on their debit card and then saying they want to take a road trip to the house. It's just like we went there. It was very underwhelming. It's a house. Like take a picture and go. Like post it on your personal stuff. I don't want to see it on Reddit. I don't know. I hate everyone, but that's all I have to say.
All right.
Best R emo mod. I mean, Ellie, you're the best R emo
Oh,
mod.
thanks.
I don't-
you.
I don't know who the mods are, so sure. Yeah, we'll go with that.
Yeah. I said none of the mods really did anything this year to my knowledge. So I guess Radbones, since he seems cool. I like him a lot. I've known
like
Connor for a
Radbones.
long time. Yeah. He's very sweet. All right. Best non-emo artist?
Peggy, JPEG Mafia.
Vane.
I said Brockhampton.
Mm.
Best non-emo album. I'm gonna go with Bark Your Head Off, Dog. 'Cause I think-
Error Zone.
Yeah, mine was Iridescence Brockhampton.
Yeah,
Best-
weird that you didn't go with Veteran there, Kyle.
I wanted to. Okay, I think Bark Your Head Off, Dog is the most well crafted album of the year, but it's just not my favorite album of the year.
All right.
You know
That's
what I
fair.
mean? Okay.
That's all fair.
Best non-emo song, "Wide Awake" by Parquet Courts.
I went with Perks by Denzel Curry. I think that song's fucking hilarious. It's funnier than anything Eminem has done in like 20 years.
That's probably true. I haven't heard it, but I can only assume based on Eminem's life now.
Yeah, it's just a fuck off track about SoundCloud rappers, and like Denzel doesn't fuck with Perks. That's the message.
That's good TLDR. That was fantastic. Love It If We Made It was mine. 1975. That song bangs.
Sick.
Okay, that's it. But I have some quick like recap things. You know, we're at the end of the year. Any other 2018 follow-ups, such as, was this a good year for emo? Do you have any predictions for emo in 2019? Is this a good year for music? I think I think this whole time I didn't think it was a great year for music, but around this time I was like, holy fuck, there's a lot of albums that I actually really liked and loved.
Yeah.
For emo, I think it was like is it corny to think that this is kind of like a transitional year for
It's definitely
emo?
a transition.
I
year.
was just thinking the same thing. I felt like everything that I really liked was from bands that are like just now starting to get traction.
Exactly.
So I feel like next year or 2020 I'll like be over the moon about like what these bands are putting out. But yeah, this year, like, I think it was a good year for music overall, but for emo it was like, yeah, very much a transitional year or like a startup year for a lot of bands.
It was a great year for emo EPs. Great,
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
great year
Yeah.
for bands who are starting out and putting out like just giving people a taste of what they're capable of. And meanwhile, I feel like a lot of the LPs that came out this year were a little rough. And I feel like definitely like you have this clash between people who are doing something new or doing something interesting or doing something unique versus I don't know, like Riley. You know, there's a huge contrast there.
How fucked up is that no one had Foxing even mentioned?
Oh fuck! They should have been on my.
Yeah.
They honestly, okay. If I'm being real, they should have been on my honorables because I hated that record when I first heard it, and then it kept coming up on my Spotify like radio for everything else I would listen to, and I would pick up my phone and go, "Oh shit, who's this? This is cool," and then I'd see it was Foxing every time. But knowing that it was Foxing, I hated it. But not knowing that it was Foxing, I loved it. That's where I
I
stand.
hated it when I first heard it, and I still hate it.
That's consistent. That's good.
Anything else about 2018 and music and emo? I mean, I guess what do you think emo in 2019 is going to be like? Do you think it's going to be like? I mean, I'm trying to think of things that are announced in 2019. It's not much besides American football and La Dispute.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think the new wave of bands coming up is basically like the newer bands that I'm super excited about are essentially influenced strongly by pop punk and hardcore.
Mhm.
Like that's what I hear a lot in the newer emo bands that I'm excited about, and I love that they have those influences and that they're strongly DIY, and I love seeing this like real close knit network kind of blooming around me. You know.
For sure. Prince Daddy in
and they-
2019 probably, and that'll probably be
Oh, yeah.
Yep,
huge.
that Prince Daddy 2019, that's happening for sure. I feel like next year there's going to be like a few more releases from the current Kings, and then 2020 the torch will be fully passed to Stars Hollow and Origami Angel and Kama.
In a perfect world, we'll see it. We'll see if we all stay bands for that long.
I
That's
mean,
how emo goes.
if Stars Hollow sticks around, I think that they will eventually be regarded as like the tiny moving parts of this era.
That's very flattering, and I appreciate that.
Well, how was the E word in 2018? And we can answer from within. And Tyler, if you want to give us,
I want to hear
answer.
Tyler's perspective from a listenership perspective. Yeah.
I think y'all hit like a really good groove at a certain point. Like I listened to that freshman class episode and I was like, oh, this is cool. And then I kind of like dabbled in like a couple episodes, and then I finally got back into listening to full episodes after that. And yeah, I feel like y'all just hit like a good groove. I think that you chose good guests, like good people to have on that have like, you know, a lot of good insight that makes it actually interesting to listen to rather than just like hearing people bullshit for 2 hours. You know, it's like a
Thanks. It's because we have clout.
yeah. That's all.
I
the
think the
clout.
word you're
It's those
looking for is
points.
clout.
Yeah.
Clout. But yeah, no, I think it's a cool thing going, and that's coming from someone who like I don't know. The only podcast I listen to related to music besides this is like Lead Singer Syndrome, you know, with like Shane Told from Silverstein, like,
Yeah.
and that, and I like get more bored of that more quickly than I do of this. So that's my take. Good podcast. Not I'd give it an 8.5 out of 10 for the year.
Solid B plus. Sick. I have like some personal notes about my relationship with the podcast to get to. So Kyle, you want to go first?
Oh God. I think this has been like a proving year for the podcast. I mean, I know the majority of the podcast has come out this year, but I think we also hit a good run of episodes, and honestly, a lot of that is like guests. But we've like gotten further out there than I honestly am like comfortable with. So it's been like it's been fun experiencing that. But I like we have found a very nice and dedicated listenership, and I love interacting with them just as much as producing the podcast, you know. It's just as fun between episodes as it is when we're putting out an episode, and that's basically been everything I've wanted from the podcast, is to cultivate, you know, little circle and shit that people can like put us to task on too. Like, I love having feedback. That's fucking sick, and I can only hope that we grow upon that in 2019.
Yeah. So the early part of 2018, I was going through like a lot of rough stuff. I was like getting off of some substances and dealing with some internal and family strife and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I came to like feel like this like every time I record this podcast, it was just like this way of it was like a way of finding catharsis, you know? Like, I would just record an episode with Kyle, and it would always be like so effortless while we were doing it, and I really like love the process of finding a guest and hanging out with them, getting to know them, becoming friends with them over the course of 2 hours or so. And like I said, like Kyle said, like cultivating the following has been amazing, and I feel like I've actually made like some friends like through our listenership, which is really cool. And then I guess towards the end of the year, I started feeling like a little bit of burnout. Like, I started feeling like I was not a very good host, and podcasts would kind of like be better off without me. But past couple episodes, I've come around. I feel like I found my love for hosting again, and you know, I really enjoy having this podcast be as big a part of my life as it is. I'm really happy with what we've done. I am really excited to see if we will continue to grow in 2019.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say, Ellie, I feel like you and Kyle have a very good dynamic as hosts together. So it really wouldn't be the same without you. So here's
For
your
sure.
external validation.
Aw, thanks, babe.
That's what I'm here for.
Yeah, I think that's something that like I don't even know if we consciously worked on having a dynamic, or I mean, like, literally, like, we had no relationship before the podcast.
Literally zero.
That's kind of wild, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ellie, definitely, like, you know, like, this is your spot. And like, I don't think anyone could take it, or I mean, like, take it or even like come into it.
Thanks, Kyle.
Yeah.
And like, I don't even feel like I need to say anything about, like, without you, this podcast would not exist. Like, period. Not just because you edit it, but like your role is like so foundational to it that I feel like it would be very impossible to continue, even with hosts as able as Claudio and Elliot.
Well, I don't know. I fucking love doing it. It's never felt like a chore. I mean, like, there was that time where we went like over a month without uploading. I was like, that's the worst feeling I've felt in a while. But
Yeah.
I thought it would be corny and nice to say, how was your personal 2018? I don't know. I feel like, and this is corny, but like, I felt like I've done like a marathon's worth of growing this year, because like everything kind of changed for me. Like, I have like a new job that's like demanding, and it's like doing something I've always wanted to do, and I'm like doing it. And then I changed roles within that company, and I'm doing something I never thought I would ever be doing, and that's weird. And then all of a sudden I'm in 2 bands this year that I got asked to join within like 3 days of each other, and I said yes to both of them, and like I'm extremely invested in them. And then this podcast has been just like growing, and I had a huge, not like a huge breakup, but like I had someone move out of my apartment, and then I started living by myself, and that was wild. And then just so I don't know how much I'm gonna say that out, but like I've had so many close calls on like relationships that have almost started, and like I've been like doing a lot of reflecting on that. I was like, that's so fucked up. Like, I don't know, but it's like a lot of good and a lot of bad, and like I don't know. I think it's just in like the corniest way possible. It's just setting me up for like a really good 2019, and I've never felt that way about like being optimistic about like another year, because I don't fucking put like any stake in that shit. But I feel like everything has just been kind of like setting up for the next year.
Hell yeah. I feel like honestly Stars Hollow is like the best part of my year, just because like I don't know, I put out art that I worked really hard on in my bedroom for like a year, and you know, people liked it, and it made me feel like super good. And so I just dove into like, I don't know, managing the band from like a business perspective, because I take care of all that. I took care of all the booking, I take care of like everything. So it was just very, very like self-validating throughout the year to just be like, hey, you can do this, like yourself, like you're capable of doing these things. My job, I started a new position like literally like a week ago. I started training, and it's like it pays a lot better, so my life is going to be like easier, which I'm really excited about.
Nice.
I started going to therapy because I was diagnosed with like an anxiety disorder that I'd been ignoring for like 6 years, and so I finally like am getting like a hold on that, and like figuring out like why those things are happening, and like why I react the way I do to things sometimes, and how I can like be better. And that's like really exciting for me, just because I feel like for a long time it was just like I don't know what to do to be better and to like, I don't know, better myself. And now I know I have a direction, and I know why it's happening. So I don't know, it's been a pretty cool year in that sense, and I just feel like I've made a lot of friends through music that are going to turn out to be like lifelong friends, you know, which is rare, because sometimes like music relationships feel like superficial, and it feels like it's just like for appearances sometimes. But I feel like I've befriended people who like actually care about like what I'm doing, and who care about me as a person. Yeah, so it's been a cool year. Not the best year of my life, but definitely like it's up there, you know, better than 1999 probably, but worse than 2013. So you know.
The first half of this year was, like I said before, was just like really, really awful for me. But you know, since I basically like my year is kind of divided into two halves. There's the shit half, and then there's the half that started after I moved to Austin. Right. And you know, moved in with my girlfriend. I don't know, perhaps by the time, I'm like 99% certain that by the time this episode comes out, I will be like officially engaged. So
I might have to bleep that out, is what you're saying.
You might have to bleep that out, but if it's not bleeped out, I will be engaged to Dina, who is my girlfriend that I mentioned on the podcast a lot. She is she's outwardly like the normie pop punk girl to like my scruffy hardcore kid skate rat, but you know, she's the one who listens to Page 99 while I listen to like the first all-time Low LP. So
Beautiful.
I love her more than I ever like. I felt like I didn't really like understand what love was before this relationship, and it's like the exact opposite of every off relationship that I've ever been in, and means a lot to me. And I made a lot of really excellent friends this year, people who like Tyler said, care about like my well-being, and I feel will stick around for a long time. And I started getting professionally published in No Echo, which is huge for me because music journalism is the career that I've always wanted since I was like in middle school, which, you know, I'm really close to having that happen, which is insane, and really happy about that. So here's to 2019 being fucking solid as soon as I quit my goddamn awful job.
Hell yeah.
We have tackled a huge episode, so the only thing left to do is drop our ats. You can find this podcast on Twitter at the world-renowned @the_e_word_podcast. That's also the handle on Instagram. You could email us at theewordpod@gmail.com. You can follow me on Instagram at nothingfeelsgucci, and I am a new boy on Twitter. I am at 1-800-2_hell no.
You are the master of fucking screen names. I've decided.
You know,
Your handles are always A+.
thank you. Where can people find your masterful Twitter handles, etc.?
I'm on Twitter at You Don't Need Maps. I made an Instagram like 2 years ago. I'm at You Don't Need Maps if you feel like following me, even though I never post. Some people have like searched me from just like assuming I'd be there, and they're right. Tumblr, you don't need maps.tumblr.com for as long as that's around, but I don't know. I post clearly all I do is post porn, so I might be shut down soon. You don't need maps.wordpress.com. You can find my writing professionally published on No Echo. And you can friend me on Facebook, facebook.com/you don't need maps if that is your bag. And that's generally one of the areas in which I communicate with people best through like Facebook Messenger. So, yeah.
Let's see. So Stars Hollow, everything is like whatever website / Stars Hollow IA. So yeah, Bandcamp, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, everything is just that. We nailed that down pretty solid. Personally, I just like deleted my Twitter that I used super actively and like started a new one that's a little bit like, I don't know, less followers. Basically, I was getting stressed out about having too many followers, which is like a dumb thing to complain about, but
Like the Twitter version of a Finsta then?
it kind of sort of, except it's not really like I'm not posting anything that like I wouldn't want people to see. I just like the feeling of just like, oh, this is my Twitter and like I can let whoever see it. But if anyone wants to follow me on that, you just have to, be approved. But my @ is irrevocable MFR. Glaucomora.
Yeah.
So yeah, that, and then I think that's it because I don't want anyone else to find me on anything else. So
Sick.
that's it. But thanks for having me on the podcast, y'all. I was fingers crossed hoping that it would happen, and then it did. So I'm stoked.
We were fingers crossed hoping it would happen, honestly. Like,
Yeah.
I was starting to get jealous because like Claudio and Liam were on, and then Rye was on, and I was like, okay, cool. Like this is what I am. This is I'm just here. Like, but now I'm here. I'm part of the club. I'm part of the cool kids club.
you are. You're in our clique. I'm going to be transparent and say I'm coming out of this episode with a strong platonic crush on you, Tyler. A plush.
You know what?
Yeah.
I think I definitely have like a poly crush on both of you. It's a good situation. I'm glad we're all so in love with each other.
Can that stay in the pod?
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, why not?
Yeah.